The apocalypse is coming. Are you scared? Are you prepared? The masses are running, frantically running from their fears, running with their tears, running from their lives, running from that dark shadowed creature that hides deep inside.
Hello. Yeah, last week was kind of chaotic. We did a short one. It was at a comic convention. I think it was the second one that we did in the comic book convention. The first one was in Pennsylvania. Next week we'll be in Brooklyn. I don't know if I'm going to do it at a comic show. We'll see. It's a 2-day show. The Brooklyn Comic Fest. It's an independent show. Come out and check it out. Super awesome. This is their 4th year, I think. I think so. I know that St. Mark's Comics is involved. I don't know if they're the ones that are hosting it. But there's a lot of cool stuff in the spring. And to those who are wondering, so far, no, there will not be a Bronx Heroes Comic Convention for 2026 either. So far, I've been planning every year since it was canceled in 2022. Every year it's a little more difficult. There's more shows. There's a lot of stuff that has been going on since COVID, post-COVID. There's more shows, not less. And it's harder to book places. I was actually offered a space, but most of you guys don't know, I was actually sent a cease and desist over my Bronx Heroes Comic Con trademark by Comic Con. So little things like that really put the kibosh on me. Like, I'm a very sensitive person. I don't know. There's good things that are going to come out of it. Because the Bronx Heroes and San Diego Comic-Con might have something interrelated in the near future. So something negative, I was able to flip it into a positive. So there may be a collaboration there in the near future between the two shows. I'm not saying right now. Nothing's written in stone. But it was something that was floated by me, and it piqued my interest. That's all I would say at this point. So Bronx Heroes Comic Con is not over, but it's in hiatus. It's in what do you call it? A Cairo freeze, as you will, until we settle this trademark dispute. So that being said, today, before Miguel gets here, I'm going to recommend my comic. And you remember this guy, The Incredible Hulk. So, The Incredible Hulk. Hulk smash, right? So, The Incredible Hulk is one of my favorites. As everyone knows, I love Batman, hands down. I would say second would be Iron Man. Superman would be third. Yeah, but the Hulk, it's like the Hulk. Some people are like Spider-Man. I love all comic book characters. But before we get into the heavy-duty news of the week, that's already got you down and depressed. With our little comedic spin, I wanted to talk about the Hulk for a little bit. The Hulk was created by the Hulk was created by Jack Kirby. He shares a credit with Stan Lee, but we all know the deal with that. Those who know. So the Incredible Hulk, By the way, Jack Kirby never profited from toys or anything like that, or any of the licensing that took place, because Stan Lee screwed him. Uh, I mean, and a lot of other artists too that created characters for Marvel never really benefited, including the movies. I think there may have been something in the lawsuit lately with the films. When the films came out, and kids or grandkids, his grandkids sued them. But yeah, I mean, well, put a little Hulk over here for the side for now. Right, maybe I'll have him destroying the Batmobile. All right, let's put him up on there. All right, hopefully don't fall. Stay. Crush Bruce Wayne. So I hope that stays. So the cool thing about the Hulk is that he is actually from the atomic age, right? Those are the science heroes in comics. That's what made Marvel characters so appealing, because superheroes used to be based on gods, such as Mercury. Superman was kind of like a pseudo Jesus Christ, right? Some people would say Moses. Either way, right there. Batman was kind of like the underworld, the god of the underworld. I mean, there's symbolisms. You had Atlantis. Aquaman and all those characters, Flash. They all kind of represented gods, but Marvel Comics was different because they dealt with comic books that dealt with science, like the Fantastic Four, Iron Man. They introduced this whole scientific superhero concept because Kirby was very much into science and mythology. That's why you got the Eternals. That's why you got Thor. That's why you got all these different characters. So I was reading the Hulk. I was at a store called Book Off, and they had these discount books. And obviously someone at Marvel or DC, usually when you work at those companies, they give you like a stack of free books. Somebody obviously went to Book Off and traded it, because this was like the brand new issue, the Infernal Hulk #1. Now they're taking the Incredible Hulk. This is no longer Bruce Banner, of the atomic age, where, that we were about bomb shelters and the war and the Russians, and, that whole premise of the Hulk is now gone. Now he's a horror superhero. He looks more like a Man Thing, Swamp Thing, Solomon Grundy type thing, right? I would say maybe even Solomon Grundy. He has like this little like rip on him, this little tear on his body. So he's been possessed. So the plot was that brilliant physicist Dr. Bruce Banner and his gamma-fueled alter ego, the Incredible Hulk, have been gruesomely ripped apart. Hulk's body is now the vessel of Eldest, imbued with the corruptive power of the great old ones. The Marvel Universe must now contend with one of the most terrifying threats ever faced, the Infernal Hulk. And I believe it's a female spirit that's possessed the Hulk, a female demon. Right? It says that for aeons untold, the mother of horrors was imprisoned in a pocket dimension, locked behind a gate none but the one below all could open, using Hulk as their vessel. The being known as Eldest finally opened her mother's prison. So Hulk is transgender. You can't make this shit up. Imbuing Hulk's body with the primordial seed of corruption, the once created, the great old ones. As the Infernal Hulk rises, the new age of Earth begins, the age of monsters. And it's called Rise. And I guess because of the popularity of Godzilla and King Kong, they're like, hey, let's make Hulk, a monster comic. I mean, he was always a monster comic, but he was more of a military comic. And it's horror. I mean, this is like straight up brains coming out of people's heads. This is like not your daddy's Marvel or your granddad's Marvel. The art's amazing. It is a fun story. It's just like, I read the whole thing. I was like, is it really a chick? So it's like, So instead of having She-Hulk being possessed, you have the body of Hulk possessed by a female spirit. Okay, I'll bite. Mind you, my Red Hulk story was never accepted. They ended up taking the idea and turning it into a piece of trash with Thunderbolt Ross. But it's like, but this is okay, right? Yeah. So I loved the Hulk. I grew up with the Hulk as a kid. I remember finding a toy on a bus when I was little, and I was just a big fan of the Hulk. This I'm not so. This looks like Bernie Wrightston, kind of like, it's like zombies and demons, like they're in hell. Like what the fuck? I mean, that is straight out of that's a fucking Bernie Wrightston swipe if I ever saw one. These two panels. It also has like this whole fucking Frazetta feeling to it over here, or like a Conan type of thing. It is a fun comic if you like horror movies. I don't know why Spider-Man and Captain America are sitting on a ratty couch watching an old television set. I haven't really been following the comics for a while. And then they talk about Golgotha instead of Golgotha, which is in the Bible, the place of skulls. They give you this remembrances of Eldest Golgotha, like just say Golgotha. They misspelled it if that's what they were going for, but it's supposed to be like some demon realm, whatever. So anyway, this is the crap that they're selling these days. It was a fun read, and but nothing beats the classic Hulk. But let me shut the fuck up, and let's bring on Miguel. Hey, Miguel, man, good morning.
Good morning. Well, afternoon for me, morning for you guys.
Yeah, that's right. Were you a big Hulk fan back in the day?
Oh, as a kid, I loved the Hulk.
Wasn't he great?
Yeah, there's
Now
something
he's-
too about little boys. My son's not too much into superheroes, but when he was little, he really loved the Hulk. I
Yeah.
think it's something big, destructive.
Mhm.
It's something that I guess,
Male energy, right?
yeah, that tearing stuff up.
I feel that I can relate to that whole Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like the darker id of ourselves, right? Like the super ego, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Hulk in a very much sense is a narcissist, filled with rage because he's like, "Fuck Banner." He's nothing. It's like he became like the abusive parent, projecting on itself, the negative, toxic self-talk, but finds a way to overcome it and be heroic somewhere in the mix by being chased by the military. But
Yeah, I never really, I kind of just thought of him as like what we project to be our animal self.
absolutely,
Like no, like the opposite, like no ego. It's just like you're just
he's not
being in the moment,
being in the moment.
right? And survive.
But he did hate Banner. He looked really like he couldn't stand him. It's like,
Yeah, that part I never. Well, maybe it's kind of, if you think of it, it's the animal self hating the rational self.
yeah, it's true.
Kind of like,
They never
why you
released it.
waste your time with
Like
all these stupid words? Fuck them
Marvel.
up.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Why are you wasting with all these words? Just mess them up, right? Just
Yeah,
destroy
just
them.
break them up. It's funny that Marvel has had so many books about the science of superheroes. I know DC has done it, but I don't think they've ever had one on the Hulk.
No, I mean I did enjoy those. I used to have all the Marvel universes,
Mhm.
and then I lent it to a friend of mine, and I shouldn't have. And his cat tore it up.
God damn.
Yeah, those were cool though. He
Yeah.
got all the stats and all the stories, and really handy for, I would say, if you were a creator for Marvel,
Right.
then you would get an understanding of what the character was thoroughly, at least the gist of it, in case it was some obscure character. And really cool if you wanted to find an obscure character and you wanted to pitch something to Marvel, that'd be the best way.
Absolutely.
You
It's
know,
funny.
that,
I don't know if I ever told you that Red Hulk story. How I was
Mhm.
my old roommate worked for worked for Marvel,
Yeah.
and then my story was very cool, but but they went with the General Ross thing, but which took them like over a year to figure out. Like they didn't even know who this Red Hulk would be. But I always loved the Hulk, but ever since that, I kind of like shied away from it. I kind of ran into this whole horror thing, this Bernie Wrightson ripoff. But he's a female demon inside the Hulk's body now. It's not Bruce Banner, so it's like transgender Hulk.
Well, I guess I think one of the problems is that, and a lot of people complain about this, that there isn't new things,
Right,
but we don't allow new things to happen because all the new things and all that new energy tends to go into already old things.
right,
And then that's kind of limited because there's a certain spectrum that you expect
right.
from a character, so you can't break it too much.
Hmm.
And then, so it's kind of weird. I don't know. I just
Yeah,
rather have newer things.
I think Dan Slott. Well, it was entertaining. I'm not gonna say
Yeah.
it's a bad story. I was just like, what? What is this? Like all in one issue? What's going on? But that's like when Dan Slott had the mind of Octavius Otto inside of Spider-Man. They called it Supreme Spider-Man or something
Mm.
like that. I forgot. But but those are not like new things. When we were kids, you had like some villain would possess the Hulk, like the leader or something, and it was like one
Mhm.
issue. But now they
There
just
was
make a whole series out of
there
it.
was one, but I only read the Spanish. The Spanish comics got really heavily butchered in Spain because of the dictatorship, right? So a lot of the got censored. There's
Right.
one I thought was pretty cool where they cut off Hulk's arm
Oh, really?
and he regenerates an arm.
Oh, wow, that's cool. I don't
And I
think.
thought it was totally cool. And he was like off in this weird alien world thing. And it was in the 70s. There's a lot of shit. That's what I mean. We've had these characters so long
Yeah, you gotta
that
change it
it,
a bit.
and again, it's sort of like it limits us because we have to have it within, okay, he's got to be fighting a villain. He's got to be doing this as opposed to something entirely new. But the problem is then they're not going to risk their money on something new,
No, no, no.
you
That's
know.
why I think it would have been more interesting to have like another type of She-Hulk type of demon character. Maybe take some of his essence or something, and then make a new character from that. But
Yeah.
because you see, he does have like a separation of some sort,
And
split.
Marvel never really did magic well.
No, no.
DC did magic very well,
Hmm.
but did science kind of crappy. And Marvel did better science than it did magic, in my view.
Right, right.
Like the X-Men, how they explained that they had all those powers and stuff. But
Hmm.
when they would, like, born this way, the set was pretty cool. But then when they bring in the magic, it always seemed a little bit off, except for Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange was kind of interesting,
Right.
the Steve Ditko Doctor Strange. But then, from people who I know don't are non-Christian and who have different practices, they thought the Doctor Strange stuff was very hokey
Yeah.
and not based on anything serious. So,
Oh yeah, and I think that I mean for me, it was hard for me to get into Doctor Strange. I hate to be a jerk, but I was not a fan of Ditko's work as a kid. He used to
mm.
draw those little dots and Spider Man's eyes, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
He did that randomly
I know it was
because
funny.
I was a
But,
very big fan of the Spider-Man that he
yeah, yeah,
did
yeah,
because he had this very unique way. There's something about it that's very 1960s.
yeah. I mean, yeah, nostalgia. As an older adult, I appreciate it, but as a kid, I was like, "What is this?" Because
Yeah,
Romita was really like my Spider Man.
mm, yeah. For
Romita
me,
Senior, you know.
For me, that's kind of like when I got introduced to it. But I remember being having the flu,
Right,
and every time I had the flu, I had the Marvel Tales, so it
right.
was reprints of the old ones. I
Yeah,
remember reading through those, and the stories were a lot of fun. The setup was a lot of fun,
yeah, yeah.
and the caricature that Ditko provided for the Vulture and other things, and I just really liked it. I liked that he was wiry,
Oh yeah,
not thick,
yeah, yeah.
because a
Well, that
spider's
was
not
funny.
thick,
Yeah, very true.
right? And I really liked that. I think Todd McFarlane touched a little bit on that,
Yeah, yeah,
but I'm still yet to see someone where I'm like, oh, that's totally cool. You took that whole wiry thing to the next level
yeah, yeah. Where he was
with
like
Spidey.
his spaghetti body.
Yeah, because you a spider is small mass.
Yeah.
He's, you know, yeah, the funny part is when you mentioned the two dots, it wasn't always there.
No, it wasn't always there. It was just around. I guess he was trying to get like a expression of shock or something, or
Yeah, whoever figured out to make the white part of the
yeah,
spider mask, open and close like that,
right.
drawing wise, I think was brilliant because you managed to capture more expression that way, even
Yes,
though it's not realistic.
yeah,
Uh, and they've done a really good job of mimicking that in the movies.
yeah, yeah. With the now they have the mechanical eyes.
Yeah, the mechanical. And there's people who do cosplay who've done it without any batteries or anything. It sort of
Yeah,
sits up to your face. So I thought that was pretty cool.
yeah. It's like a very simple mechanism. I just saw someone selling one on Instagram for $99. I was like, oh,
Wow.
cool.
Wow. Yeah, I also loved how they would explain how the web shooters would work.
Yes. So yeah, yeah, the
Um,
science of that and like what it was made of, the chemical composition and all that.
yeah, and this,
Silly string, but strong. you know.
well, and I think they lost that part of Peter that was brilliant. I
Yeah.
think when they made him like a college dropout,
Right.
without going back to school, going back to science, it wasn't a bad thing, but I think it really limited the character. It would have been interesting if he went back to be like, it was almost like saying, this is the class you were born in. You'll never be a scientist.
Right.
But he was a very bright guy. And in some aspects, in the working class, that does happen a lot. There's a lot of really bright people who don't get the opportunities. But it would have been kind of cool if he went back to night school and came back and was like a Reed Richards. But it took him when he was older as opposed to in his 30s. You
Right.
know,
Exactly.
they just sort of dropped that. And I thought that was,
I think is because Kirby was really the science guy, and then think about it. Everything that Kirby did was either very heavy into like mythology or
mhm,
science. Um, and Stanley, and Ditko kind of hijacked that project of Spider-Man, which was the Silver Spider originally, that Kirby introduced to them, and then they kind of hijacked it and then altered it to be the Spider-Man that we know. But it's like, how far can you take it if you're really not a science guy?
yeah.
I remember in the '90s, was it, or the early 2000s, when Stanley, after the first lawsuit, Stanley was trying to recreate his image with Kevin Smith, and he was interviewing him. It's on DVD. I still have it. He was like, "Oh, I invented gamma rays and all this stuff. I just made it up." It's like, I
Invented
was
it.
like, this guy doesn't know jack shit. Like he literally is saying that he invented gamma rays, and then also with the Incredible Hulk, and then he also said that when they were creating Spider-Man, they were thinking about a superhero that's an insect like the Fly. No, there was a character called the Fly. That was
Mhm.
Kirby Simon.
And then they brought him back in with Spider-Man, where Spider-Man fought the Fly.
Right.
Yeah.
And he also had a villain that was named the Spider. They did that for the Archie comics, the Red Circle comics back then, the Golden Age. People forget that Jack Kirby was the man and Stanley was the assistant getting his coffee, and somehow that
He
flipped.
just happened to be the nephew of the owner.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then that kind of flipped. So history rewrote itself, right? History is written by the victors. So,
And I think what we have now is that a lot of people who are very interested in the characters
mhm,
become the writers,
mhm.
but they're not heavy on science.
Yeah, they're not. And then think
And
about
it shows.
too the Hulk as well. This was all science. It was all about the nuclear age. It was all about World War II. But if you have writers that don't have that background, then how far can you go? You know?
Well, and it's interesting you bring it up because you get into the 70s rode through a little bit of it. You
Mhm.
get to the 80s, things start to become more about like the comics, if I'm remembering correctly, it became more like interpersonal things
Right, right.
between the characters. The science really started to drop off.
And the
Um,
militarism of the Hulk as well, because it became more superheroes like going after him instead of the military in the 80s with John Byrne, with the Hulk Busters and all that stuff.
mhm.
Because these writers and artists didn't have that experience. Like, I mean, Stanley was in the military. You got guys like Eisner in the military. You had Kirby that was an infantry. Stanley was a desk jockey. It's like so was Eisner, but you had this really when you had this very visceral thing when Kirby wrote a story. Um, you felt it.
Yeah, he really put his love into it.
Right.
What I was going to say was that it's interesting that in the 80s, the science drops off in American comics, but all of a sudden you start getting Akira, Ghost in a Shell coming in.
Oh yeah.
And I think one of the things that many creators don't understand, because I know there's a lot of people who maybe today won't admit that they were anti-manga and
Oh, they were.
anti-Japanese.
Of course they were. They still are. A lot of them
But
still are.
and I don't think they understand that it was the science. Like Ghost in a Shell still stands as a concept,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
very forward thinking.
Oh my
Uh,
God. I mean, we're watching it come to life. The whole Blade
Mostly,
Runner with the robots and stuff, and
they're trying.
it's
I don't
it's
know if we're ever going to get that, but I think
you got
that
the
the
whole Philip
concept,
K. Dick thing, going on.
yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot still more to go, but
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, they were building off of the David Gibson's Necromancer, which is what really the Matrix and all the other stuff built off from.
Right.
But when we're dropping the science, they're bringing in the science. It's
Right.
interesting that so many young people flock to it,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I
They
I
love.
think a lot of creators miss that that has to be a big part of it, but that takes work.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes. Research.
yeah, world building like that is not easy. It takes months. It takes months, if not years, to figure out how things are going to work. There's an excellent essay by a man by the name of oh shoot, is it not John McDonald?
Mhm.
He inspired Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. There's an essay on how to write fairy tales, and he gives you the rules.
Mm.
Once you establish a rule, don't break it.
Right, right. But they do all the time.
And they do all the time. And he was saying, if you do it, you're going to piss people off.
Right.
Unless you can figure out a way as to why that rule was broken and you can convey that. And I
Mm.
always recommend that essay. I think it's John McDonald. It's really, and I think that's the thing about world building. But they don't really allow for that anymore. When we
No.
were kids, though, we had like Thundercats,
Oh yeah. That was a.
He-Man.
And
Uh,
you find them on Amazon. I watch them sometimes on Amazon.
yeah,
Old
like
yeah.
they got Insectors.
Sectors. Yeah.
It was all about world building,
Yeah. It was.
and then
Everything fantasy was, yeah, it was all because you had that whole Dungeons and Dragon type of thing that people were really big into that. Just
yeah,
like Godzilla just wasn't Godzilla. You had Monster Island.
and it hasn't gone away because the young love that.
Yeah.
But if it's not there, it's kind of like, eh.
Yeah. I mean, why do you think like Warhammer and all these other games are so popular? Because that's exactly what it is, right?
Mhm.
But it's more interactive. They're a part of it. I think that's why video games are so big too. Like I don't know if you ever played the Batman games, but that's what really got me back into video games was being Batman. Oh, I could be Batman and I could play
The
Bat.
Arkham games.
Yeah, the Arkham games, and you
Yeah,
just
I bought one which was for the Switch. I
Mhm.
just haven't had the time to sit down and play it.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I've spent 13 hours one time playing. I
yeah,
mean, it's like, what the fuck I should be drawing? I'd say,
yeah. There's the video game industry has managed to capitalize on what the comic book industry has lost, and there's a lot of things that the comic book industry, by
Mhm.
and large, could do better, and it's not really that much
Right.
better world building.
Yeah.
You know, focus on science, or if it's magic, do it well.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think as artists too, we obsess over talking about realism. We don't talk about sequence. Like I went to school for film,
right,
and if I'm hanging out with or talking film buddies,
right.
the first thing that they'll say, "Hey man, did you see that sequence?"
Mhm.
But when I talk to more comic book people, "Hey, did you see how blah 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 rendered that forearm?"
Right, exactly.
I'm like, what the fuck? No, this is a sequential art form.
Right.
We should be talking about panel to panel how that looks really cool, how they did that.
They're obsessed
Um,
with the anatomy, but then that goes back into fascism, right? We were talking about how the admiring the ideal man of all muscle and the perfect body and the Uberman, right? That's like
right.
that's like
But it'd be one thing if it was spot illustrations,
right, right,
'cause they treat it as spot illustrations, as
right.
opposed to it's like what Will Eisner said, it's a sequential art form.
Yes,
What is the storytelling telling you? Are
right,
you playing with those actual panels and how they're making you feel? Like the sequence I always loved from Ditko
right,
is the one when Peter Parker realizes he can't allow himself to be drowned because he's got to save Aunt May.
right.
The sad part is he was a libertarian,
Mm,
and you read that comic, and it was, in a way, an argument for universal health care for us.
right,
Because she ends up in the hospital, he's got to pay the bills, he's got to
right,
take more photographs and stuff.
right.
But that sequence is always cool where he's like sitting there and he's about to give up, and then all of a sudden he gets really, and just the panels, how they're, the boxes, how they're hugging him, you feel confined,
Hmm.
right? But we
Yeah.
don't talk about sequence enough. I think that's one thing. I think that would improve the art form, and I think it would get more fans back into it. We're not playing to our strengths.
Well, I blame the '90s because, and this is a thing I think with the films as well, is that DC Comics became more cerebral, and Marvel fans are literally at some point just started buying the comics for the art, not as
Yeah,
much the stories. Now, some
image.
people read both, yeah, and then you had Image, so
Yeah,
you had the artists dominating the writers, and there were stories where Rob Liefeld was changing, not following the script of Louise Simonson. And at some point, she was like, "That's it, I had it." And they gave him the book, creative control over the book, the artist, because he was popular. And then she went to Superman and then did Doomsday. So I mean, it's like,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that happened. She's a writer. He wants to tell a good story, but these guys just want to do splash pages. And the audience was changing, a less literate audience, and then they went to Image. And if you look at those Image comics, they suck. I mean, the art is great, but they suck. And then the art's not so great. Actually, if you really, I mean, for that time, it was different. It was new. It was exciting. But if that's the whole collector's market, the mentality, and it
Mhm.
changed the comic book industry. I would say it ruined the comic book industry in some ways. I mean, in one hand, it was great for the independents to make a mark. That's the good thing. The second thing was just like, there's no story here. This is just a bunch of pinups of sexy girls with scantily clothed and guys with big guns. It became more fascist, more muscles, like ridiculous muscles. It's
Like biceps had biceps that had biceps.
right, literally, like, it's like with the Hulk, you expected, like, yeah, this guy's supposed to be like this muscular guy, right?
Hmm.
But everybody had muscles, even the women. Like Bart Sears, I remember was drawing Wonder Woman like she was like a cross dresser at one point. She had too many muscles. She had no femininity to her. And I have nothing against her. I used to love reading Muscle and Fitness and Joe Wider magazine and looking at I always thought it was amazing to look at these muscular females because I love the She-Hulk. So no hate on that, but it's like these guys, like they went over the top with everyone was like a Muscle Beach. It's like
And the worst thing is, okay, so one of the things I love about Kirby, although he could have done this a little bit more for his female characters, but he was very good at varying out body types and facial features.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Ramita, very good at that too.
Hmm.
Not you basically you didn't have someone that all the characters didn't look the same. The 90s, because they were pumping out so many things,
Yeah,
every character that this one particular artist did, they all looked the same.
yeah, yeah. So
And
genre.
other than and if it's not in color, sometimes you probably have a hard time figuring out
Who's who?
who's who.
Right.
Other times they would just take what looked like a white guy or a white woman, curl up the hair a little bit, and then okay, it's a black character. They didn't take the time to actually
Right.
uh, play with that. Like you can have a character that's very muscular as a woman, but if you have another woman that isn't, that's more thin and playing off of their strengths, that's why I guess I really love Ditko, that wiry Spider-Man,
Hmm.
you know. And then you have like the Hulk, he's bulky. You get an understanding. The body type is giving you some information about the character itself and their
Yes.
abilities.
Spider-Man shouldn't be muscle. He's basically the nerd that can lift 1,000 pounds. It's like that's the premise. He doesn't have to be like jacked up,
Yeah.
with muscles, you know.
He
But
he should be like have a body type of a cyclist.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
and
like a fencer or something,
yeah, and I see that even with women's faces. They don't even take the time to sort of like, well, her face is going to be more round. Her face is going to be a little longer. It's
Mhm.
just like a factory. And I think it gives that vibe. And now people could complain about that with manga. Yeah, in many cases, manga does have that. But some really good manga artists, you can also tell.
Yeah, you could differentiate.
You can differentiate between the characters, not just by the haircut, but
Right.
even the face is a little longer. They'll make the eyes a little smaller if they're more mature,
Hmm.
So, but yeah, and then what they did is they said, well, they threw up their hands and said, comic books, it's just dying. It's been dying forever. I sometimes see
Dying
articles
since the
talking,
60s. It's like, actually,
oh,
yeah,
it's
at least
dying.
since the 40s.
It's
Since
like,
it's always been on the cusp of building a new generation and dying at the same time.
okay, my
It's
thing
always
is,
assaulted media. People have always looked down on it. People were ashamed of it. I read comics. It's like it's like,
yeah. And on the other hand, it has to also be said, like here in France, it's not looked down on.
mm,
Actually, they call it the ninth art.
really.
So
What is it?
yeah, so there's different arts. Like I don't think the first one is like literary, the second one's like fine art, and
Mm,
so on. So it has different listings for it.
mhm.
And here, if someone finds out, oh, you draw comics, they get very excited. Doesn't matter where they come from in their station in life, they think that's pretty cool.
Right.
But then I think it's overall a Catholic culture.
Mm,
Catholics never had an issue with telling stories with pictures.
mhm.
As a matter of fact, that's what Protestants complained about.
Right.
And Protestantism stripped all of its religious art,
Mhm.
doesn't really have art, right?
Mhm.
And looks down on anything that doesn't have art and it looks up to everything that's literary, hence the Bible, right?
Right.
And I think that's where the approach comes to that it's a lower form,
Right.
in my view, that it's much more deeply rooted in a religious perspective than we actually think.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's funny. When I was in college, I remember reading this Catholic book, but American Catholic, not European.
Yeah.
They were saying that Superman was considered the Antichrist, that there was this huge religious movement against Superman. Because, his origin is somewhat biblical, right? It's a reference. I mean, his father's Jor-El. If you go back, one of the gods' names was El, right? He
Right.
has, so that's like a Judeo like Canaanite god, El, not just Yahweh. It's like there was a pantheon of
Mhm.
gods, right? So they felt, and they thought that Batman was like the devil. So
Yeah.
I was like really fascinated. Like, oh, this is really interesting. The Catholic Church, but this was their stance, I guess, in the '60s or something like that.
Yeah, and in Spain, when
Yeah.
I moved back to Spain, I had some friends that ran a comic shop there. It's no longer there though. And we get talking about some of the stupidities, and they were telling me how Franco outlawed Superman along those bases, so you can get any Superman comics till after he died.
Really?
And to me, it's just like that's just stupid.
Right.
But all that religious stuff. That's why when say, "Oh, look at Iran and look whatever," it's like
Yeah, it's like same shit, different.
different day. And are we gonna go
Right.
mistreat these people because they don't believe the way we do? It's
Right.
up to the people to decide if they say, "Hey, that's kind of stupid." Maybe we
Yeah.
need to change these laws. It's a waste of time,
Really.
right? And and but it's to be expected. But meanwhile, most of these things in Catholicism are taken from other religions anyway.
Absolutely. Specifically
Yeah.
the Egyptian.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, I'm reading a book on ancient Egyptian writings,
Right.
and there's one that was really cool. It's a guy who's arguing with his soul
Hmm.
because they really believed, that whole three-part thing to your soul and everything. So
Right.
he's arguing with the soul because he's saying, I'm tired of living. I'm sick of this shit. Everything's shit. And his soul is saying, look, you don't want to just die just yet because he's giving him. So it was a debate back and forth.
Right.
But what was really interesting, and I take this as being very African in the view of balance, uh, they come to the agreement of, well, okay, I'll just live my life and I'll deal with life and we'll deal with the afterlife when the afterlife comes.
Right.
As opposed to, woe is me, the world's so terrible, which would be a more European perspective. Everything's shit. Why is it worthwhile living?
Mhm.
I found it very fascinating. Just a different perspective on that because we're so used to when that debate comes up, it tends to end negatively
Mm.
as opposed to not necessarily positive. Well, I guess you could say positive, but kind of coming to a realization that going to one extreme or another isn't necessarily the best thing.
No, no, it's
You know,
not. I mean, that's how humans are, you know. Yesterday I was talking about doing a 9/11 memorial mural when I was working in the prison. And there was a big argument because I put a pair of eyes on the flag crying. And there was a big debate like what color the eyes should be. It's like I'm the artist. I could do whatever I want. So I put a pair of green eyes because I figured, oh, that's kind of neutral, right? But
yeah,
it's like, no, it was a huge debate. People were offended that there were green eyes on the flag. They were like, why aren't the eyes blue? And why aren't the eyes brown? Oh, if the eyes are blue, it's a white person. If the eyes are brown, it's a black person. I was like, well, not necessarily. There's a lot of people, majority of people on the planet have brown eyes. It's like, it's like, why would you assimilate that with being a darker person, you know? But
or you could have pulled David Bowie.
great, yeah. Do you want to?
One green, one blue, one brown, and you're set. You
I
know,
mean, there was this whole debate. I mean, literally, like there were like heated arguments with corrections officers, staff. I was like, Jesus. And then finally, when everything got approved, it was supposed to be like three murals. The first one was the World Trade Center, and they were pretty graphic. I mean, I was pushing the envelope, I admit. So it was the first one was supposed to be on fire. The second one was the rubble and the collapse, and then the third one was the icons of Liberty and Uncle Sam and the Eagle going off to war to with planes dropping bombs and stuff, and uh, you know, and it finally got approved. And then when it was approved, I was like, you know what, fuck it, I quit. So we did the first one. We didn't put the buildings burning. We just left it like that because people were very emotional. A lot of people were sensitive because people died, right? People they knew, family members. So that's understandable. So I was like, okay, we won't.
yeah.
And then the other ones, I had this whole crew, a pink crew, and they were just like some of them got beat up. They broke one guy's hand, the officers, because they were like threatening his life, like like you can't paint, don't paint this thing. Then after that, we did other educational murals, and they buffed that. Like we did this one guy. There was this graffiti artist named Damage in Brooklyn. He was doing 15 years. He was being sentenced to 15 years, but he did this whole
Why?
murals, drinking and driving. You know, DWI. Someone had a heart attack and hit the guy, crashed into him, hit a stop sign. But because he was under the influence, they said he should have been able to avoid the accident. Like, the guy had a heart attack and died. It crashed into him. But that's the injustice that we face. But he was under I think he had like 1 or 2 beers. But because he was under the influence, he got 15 years in prison, even though he was the victim. So it's like how. So basically, if he had got hit by that guy and wasn't under the influence, he would be fine. But because he was drinking and was hit in the car accident, he was blamed, which doesn't make any sense. The guy had a heart attack and hit him. It's not like he hit the car. But anyway, that's the wheels of justice.
Right. So you were talking about the mural that he was.
Yeah. So then the cops destroyed the mural. They destroyed them over the weekend. They got some other, even though it was approved by a bunch of people, above their pay grade, like literally their supervisors, and you're talking about politicians that approved this mural, an education mural about the educational services provided in Rikers Island. And each letter was, I think it was spelling Horizon, the name of the school. And each letter had very detailed. It was almost, I would liken it to like maybe like Diego Rivera, like but a graffiti style, where there's a story being told in each letter about how you got to prison and how you changed your life towards getting the GED. It was beautiful, and I didn't have any photos of it because cameras weren't allowed into the prison. I only have a picture of one of my murals because this guy snuck in a camera for me. This officer, but I couldn't do that, But I mean, yeah. They literally, when we just did the line outline for it, like 9 walls. It was literally like the whole hallway, and it was gonna be colorful and beautiful, and it'd be uplifting to the prisoners. Now they're like, fuck these guys, and they just knocked it out. These 2 fucking pricks. I'm like, you're not painting a mural here. I was like, your boss approved this, right? And then they like threatened their supervisor. This is like the crazy insanity. Protesting art. That's how
that's I think
it's like prison's supposed to be rehabilitative, not punishable.
but I think that shows, I think it's a good example of how fascist we are as a country.
Oh yeah.
That okay, someone has committed a crime. There's some certain crimes that are really hard to kind of go, okay, like child molestation, right?
Oh, those guys get killed.
Yeah, those. But overall, most of the crimes, maybe aside from murder and child molestation, like drinking and driving, right?
Right.
Like that guy, he didn't even hit the guy.
Right.
I'm sure there's a lot of people who are there for stupid reasons.
Oh yeah.
That they shouldn't even be there.
They basically intimidate them to blow trial, so they never get a hearing, and then they just plead guilty to a lesser charge.
Yeah, and instead of going, okay, well,
traffic court. I mean, I went to traffic court, and the same shit happened where they basically, and if you don't want to plead to a lesser charge, they don't let you see the judge. They make you come back 3 times before the judge sees. It's like
that's not justice.
It's
and
not.
That's the thing. We've never had a criminal justice system. What we've had was
right.
It's
pay to play.
It's a social control system.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a justice system.
Right.
Just reading today how Palantir is going to take over the IRS.
Oh,
so they're going to be using AI to see who's dodging taxes and everything else. And I'm thinking, with the error rates of AI,
mm-hmm.
I sent you a video. This young guy, man, he was showing how stupid it is.
Yeah.
AI is. And the error rates are so bad. I can see in the future, distant future, where we have congressional and Senate hearings as to people being audited that should never have been audited.
Mm.
and the chaos it's going to cause. Because most people don't know this. Peter Thiel is not a computer engineer.
Right.
He is not a tech. He's not this hacker tech guy.
This is
And
some
neither is Alex Karp. They
right.
went to school for philosophy
Mhm.
and law.
Right.
So when we call them tech bros, it's not really inaccurate. They're tech owners.
Right.
And it's going to cause so many freaking problems. They're having issues even now with science journals because they're bringing in so much AI
Right.
that it's making up whole new papers that don't exist, and people are trying to find these papers to back it up, and they can't find them. Other people who are like, I never wrote that paper. What the fuck is this thing talking about?
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So they're introducing something that I guess they think is innovative and forward thinking, or they're introducing it because it causes chaos.
Right.
And either way, it's not going to be good. And unraveling it is going to take more time than if we actually had a decent technology that helped us move forward. And again, it goes back to this whole idea I was telling about. We've dropped the science, and it's more about the appearance of science. And that goes even for
Right.
or as I call it, Silicon Valley.
Right. And you know, and this country also has this obsession with insulting intelligence. So it's just like every fucking TV show, movie, whenever someone's saying something that's highbrow, there's always the other character that responds, "Can you say that in English? Can you say that? Can you explain that to the dumb people?" I mean,
Yeah.
what they're saying is not hard to understand or to conceive. Well, they're just speaking plain English and saying and just explaining something. But there's
Yeah.
always the character. Can you say that in English? It's like
It's funny because um,
it's so dumb. I really
Star Trek, the original Star Trek, you never had Kirk say that unless he said, "Could you explain that a little differently?"
right,
From like there was a certain level of intelligence that all three characters, the Doctor,
right,
Spock, and Kirk, Kirk would be used to explain the dumbed down version of what
right,
Spock said. You go
right,
like, "Do you mean this?" And
right,
which is good because in everyday life, I mean, today it's like that, but in everyday life, if you have people from different fields talking to each other, they're all very intelligent, but they're very educated in different parts.
right,
One person might mean, "Do you mean this?" And then you go from there. You don't need to say it in plain English. But unfortunately, that's influenced real life where people say that now, thinking they're being very clever because they've watched these shows that promote that.
right. But it's like they're encouraging stupidity. And it's like I never understood that. Like you know, and growing up, you know, Brainy Smurf was the outcast, right? It's like it's like or like or Steve Urkel was like the outcast. The smart one's always the outcast. Or Revenge of the Nerds, right? The
Yeah.
intelligent guys are the outcast.
Well,
And
it
you
comes
can
from a
just choose
different
anything.
model.
Yeah.
It's a different model system. I remember once my late brother and I were talking about this. And it's interesting because I've seen it here with my kids, both in Spain and France. You can be athletic and still be smart.
Right.
When my brother and I were talking, he said, you have to understand, bro, but there were like two different models. The Greek model,
Right.
which was the old ancient Greek model, in which you had to be balanced.
Right.
You could be really good at something, but you still should be able to be somewhat athletic.
Right.
And that model still runs, relatively speaking, in both Spain and to a degree here in France too.
Mhm.
But the English model and the English where they excelled at was specializing.
Mhm.
So then what we created then was the person who's smart, the person who's athletic, the person that's this. Because here, when I talk to my kids, they'll tell me, okay, there's the footballers and the people who love football and stuff, but there aren't all these little cliques in the
Right.
same way that we have in North America. And I
Right.
found that fascinating. When I was teaching teenagers in Spain, I found the same thing. They were, I mean, sometimes they jokingly say something stupid and they all laugh. But overall, if someone was stupid, they
Right.
laugh at him because he was stupid, and he wasn't smart enough to actually get it right.
Right.
So there's a play on like, nah, you can't be stupid. There's a certain level you have to hit. And American society is taking it to the maximum, you know.
Right. Exactly.
Um, and personally, I think it benefits those who rule American society that way. You know,
Yeah, it's almost like it's like like students of mine that constantly say the N word. Like sometimes you can hear like 40 times in like like
yeah,
less than an hour. And I'm like, don't you know that's a social construct that you're brainwashing yourself to believe that you're this thing, and then you are lowering the expectations of yourself because you are saying I am this, and then you're looking at other people and saying you are this,
hmm
and they're like, nah, man. It's
and
like,
I put the blame for that on Paul Mooney, and I love Paul Mooney. I mean, that guy was hilarious.
no, he was a goat,
He was, but he's the one that,
but he knew what he was doing. You know what I mean? It's
but he
like,
was trying to co-opt it.
right.
And Richard Pryor, for a long time, did that. But there was one particular stand-up where he said how he had traveled to Africa.
Mhm.
He saw black pilots. He saw this. He saw that. And he said, "I'll never use that word again. We're not that.
Right.
Never do that again." But Paul Mooney kept pushing that.
Yeah, he did.
Then the rappers kept pushing it. I
Right.
come from a generation where my father told me, "Look, it's not my dad was born in the 40s. He's like, that's not a term of endearment.
No.
Anyone says it, those are pretty much short of fighting words.
Yeah, basically.
You know,
When I was a kid, those are fighting words. You say
those
that,
are fighting
or my
words,
mama, or whatever. You say your mama, you're getting punched in the face.
right? Right.
It's like,
So, and then here's the worst part because when rap uses it, and a lot of rappers have been shocked when they travel abroad to places like France or other places
mhm,
when people use the N word.
mhm.
Like I had to school a Spanish friend of mine because they don't have any context for it.
Right.
Right? This is just something they hear in a song and they're like, "Oh yeah, okay, sounds cool." And I had to explain to a Spanish friend of mine, "Okay, let me just tell you something. First of all, you're not black,
Mhm.
so it's gonna be considered like you're being racist. Two, it really depends on the generation you're talking to. Guy like me, I'm gonna knock your block off, but I
Right.
know you, and I
Exactly.
know you don't know any better." But on the other hand, I'm like, so all these songs are pumping out this negative word
Mhm.
around the globe. And even Chuck D said, when I
It's a
have
low
people walk up to
vibration.
me, "Yo, what's up, my?" And he's
Mhm.
like, "We've done it to ourselves
Mhm.
in that degree." So yeah, I'm not a fan of that
Yeah.
at all. Um,
And it's still very popular, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Right. I've got
Uh,
to say neighbor to replace the word with neighbor.
I use Ninja.
As our ninja. I tell them, you guys are all friends and neighbors, so just say that word instead. So now I got a school full of kids saying, F you, neighbor.
I prefer
That's not
Ninjas.
kind of like we were going for, but it's like,
Yeah,
I said, yo, my
uh,
neighbor.
yeah. Well, it used to be bro.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, hey,
What's up,
bro.
bro? What's up,
Up,
man?
dude? What's up, dudes? Right?
And it's interesting because the word man
Right, man. Yeah.
um, came into being in terms of how it's used. Hey, man, how you doing?
Yeah, yeah,
Is
yeah.
the jazz era
Right,
because they were
exactly.
called boys so often
Right.
that a way to pick each other up was a way of saying, "Hey, man, how you doing?"
Yeah, exactly. My man. All that stuff. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like,
my man. That was a way of saying you're not a boy.
right, exactly.
And then what we did, we kind of went back to the reason.
Backwards.
Yeah, we went back before man.
Right.
Why we're using an insult that the slave masters
Right.
created.
Right.
It's like, I don't know. I
I
just
always
don't know.
say, you guys, I said, do you ever hear white people saying, hey, what's up, my cracker? No. Or like Hispanics saying like the S word, and it's like, you don't hear Hispanics referring to themselves like that. Those the derogatory terms. You know,
Unless they're pissed off at each other.
I mean,
Unless they're pissed off at each other, that's the time when those things start flying, and that goes even for whites too.
yeah,
Except they wouldn't call them crackers; they call them trash.
trash. That you would hear trash. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's the one that they go to.
trash. Yeah,
But no, I just never got that. And
yeah.
sometimes, there's a lot of songs that I like, and they have the word in it. I always think, man, unless of course it's done in a way to sort of like you're telling a story about how you're being treated,
Right,
less than, and the
right,
word comes in because it's
right,
giving context to that. And
right.
then we'll get upset over the same people who don't get angry over using the N-word, will get upset over white people braiding their hair.
Right.
I'm just like, who cares?
So a lot of cultures have braided hair. You know, yeah, the native.
Yeah, but I mean,
You know,
it's
the Celtic peoples braiding hair, right? Braiding beards. Yeah,
at the
yeah.
end,
Braid. Yeah, I mean, the braid is basically like it's beyond hairstyle. It's really about frequency and energy, right? I mean,
but
if
in
you
the end, we're getting upset over that as though something is being taken away from you,
right,
which is not. I mean, I'll be honest with you.
mhm.
Bo Derek did not look very good with those braids. Right. Certain braids, certain hairstyles work pretty well with
I don't think they
certain
were looking at
features.
her hair, but yeah,
Yeah, because you're looking at it going, huh? Right?
right,
And I mean, eventually they might figure out, okay, I look a little strange with this,
right,
but that can be undone.
right. I mean, yeah, I
The
mean,
the use of the N-word is just too much. Maybe I appear very old-fashioned in
yeah.
that sense.
Well, yeah, in some ways they're like, yeah, but again, that started in the '90s when I remember everyone was using that word. I was like, oh my god, what the hell's going on here? It's like,
Well, what's interesting about the 90s, so we go from the 80s with MTV. You have all these different kinds of music. And what was really cool, whether you're black, brown, whatever, yeah, I know David Bowie. I know Culture Club. I know Prince. I know
right,
Michael Jackson. It
right,
was like a free for all. You weren't sort of slotted into you have to listen. This is your music,
right,
right? Then, the brutality in films were there, but it wasn't too bad. And then you enter into the 90s. Comics, as you were pointing out, gets stupider with the big muscles and
big muscle.
everything literally, and that's why they called it image, by the way. It was just image.
That's all it was. Yeah, I mean,
You
I got
get Tarantino with all the blood stuff and the over the top violence.
over the top.
You get the gangster rap, which is also sort of facilitating a lot of this stuff. I
Right.
mean, I don't want to sound conspiratorial, but I'm going to. I don't give a shit.
Well, because of the whole
But they
prison.
were trying to the industry was trying to get us to be more violent and accept violence.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's
You
true.
know,
And they were also in the same music industry people, were putting life insurance policies on a lot of these gang members and stuff like that. You know,
yeah,
and and
because
bad contracts, and they're also investors in the prison system.
yeah,
So
well, Disney has contracts in the prison system. Now, here's something to keep in mind. Like in the 90s, Prince had an album that he never released.
mhm.
It's called the Black Album. I mean, you can go hear it, and
Right,
he said it was satanic and all this stuff, and he's like, nope, not putting this out.
right.
But I've heard it, and and I've read some on it, and he was very frustrated with
Mhm.
where the industry was moving.
Oh yeah, it was
And there's people who said that he confronted music execs saying, "Why are you pumping this stuff out about our people?
right,
Why are you pumping this stuff out, making it seem like and having our kids listen to this crap?"
right,
So there was a change going on because music was supposed to be fun. I mean, you take something like whether it was MC Hammer,
right,
which was a lot of fun, sort of party type stuff, right? You just dance to it. Um, It Takes Two, that song. Like you look at all the dance stuff, and it was about getting together, dancing, having fun. And then all of a sudden it's like, man, I got shot up in a driveway and I
Right.
survived and I got a bullet in my butt.
That right? It's like the the gangster rap, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But
I
it's interesting because I see with my daughter's really into music and she's sort of, I see a whole new generation going back to pre that.
Right. Now, K-pop is big now, but now they're like, oh, they're culture vultures. It's like, well, this is my point of view. If you're going to say they're culture vultures, blame the music industry. Don't blame the artist. The artist is a person. The artist was inspired by music, which is basically Motown, right? So Motown inspired the world before hip hop, right?
Yeah.
So the younger generations wanting to sing that because they were inspired to, that's one thing. The industry pumping it and basically not promoting black artists and instead promoting Korean artists with Motown. That's the problem, because you should be able to promote both. But to exclude, black artists from the music that they created,
Well,
to
and there's two things to it.
it's
I think there's several layers to that, and I agree with you. There's several layers to that. So one, you have the Korean market.
mhm.
So that's what's popular in that country.
Right, in that country.
In that country. I don't know if there's that many black artists in that country.
I mean, most people there before Korea, before K-pop, you already had R&B in China, in Japan. They had J-pop, and then you also had in Taiwan.
They've always had,
which was like C-pop, which is, I think there was more. I think there were more artists in Taiwan in the early 2000s that were probably better than the stuff that's coming over here, but you'll never hear it.
Yeah.
No.
And plus, thanks to those countries, jazz and
Yeah,
other art forms that were sort of sidelined survived.
yeah,
So
exactly.
for me, there's the internal country's market.
Yeah, exactly. Like salsa,
Two,
Japan, and reggae.
then there's the other layer
Mhm.
that, and it should be said. So now you have one country. The U.S. is another country. What
Mhm.
should be said is, well, why are they actually allowed to create this music, but we're not allowed to?
Right,
Because the Roots ended up in Paris for about a year and a half when they
right,
first started, because they were told that their music wasn't black enough.
right.
So then we have to open it up, because the deflection is, oh, they're culture vultures. Well, let's look at that. It should be the US market that should allow for that to flourish.
Right,
Where you're like, oh, that's neat. We inspired those guys over there. Oh, that's cool.
right,
And you can live with it.
right.
But of course, and this happened with comics too, by the way, it's cheaper for an American music company or an American comic book company to
Mhm.
import something that's already successful in another country.
Right, exactly. Of course.
And they only have to throw a few cents compared to promoting a new
Right.
thing. So we have to get past just the culture vulture stuff and
Mhm.
talk about the actual economics
Right,
and the money that's going behind it, how they're making their money. It
right,
isn't the artist's fault,
right.
you know, but it is the economic system that creates it. And I think that's one of the things that uh, both liberalism and conservatism has this habit of staying at identity politics, but not really wanting to get down and talk about, well, why is it that it's this way?
Right,
Who is benefiting from this?
right.
And they were doing it with manga. Dark Horse,
Mhm.
forever and a day, and I love Dark Horse.
Mhm.
But there's a point in time I didn't even buy their domestic titles. I was buying their manga titles.
Right.
But then if you tried to pitch something that was manga-like,
They weren't interested.
they weren't interested. So it's like, then what you're doing is you're creating a whole market of imports. We're an
Right,
import company.
right.
And really that's what we've done. And that goes for factories and everything else.
That goes
And
back
we,
to unions. Yeah. It's like,
and we have to really
Mhm.
think of that as in such a way. Stop blaming the artists.
Right.
If anything, I think it's
It's-
wild. Like these Iranian Lego propaganda
Yeah,
videos.
you're a genius.
I'm blown away by the level of rap.
Oh yeah,
I sit back and I think, holy shit, like
yeah,
Black American culture has inspired the world.
it really has.
It
Yeah,
really has. And that's something to be kind of like
it's
people think,
amazing.
oh, they're stealing from us, as opposed to think of the power you have as a culture
Right,
that people want to imitate you. Now, they
right,
might not like us,
right,
but that also comes from the culture that the white supremacist side that also does that
right.
thing of disliking us. So I think we have to reevaluate that whole identity nonsense.
Yeah,
I've never seen Africans say to me, "Oh, you're wearing a dashiki." Not that I ever have, because I always feel very like,
right,
I mean, it is technically my culture, but I'm kind of orphaned from it
right.
from hundreds of years.
Mhm.
But they would never say, "Why are you wearing that?"
Nope.
Because they're like, "Pfft,
We're all
whatever,
the time.
good, that's cool. You know, you're promoting my culture,
Right,
right?" So unless the Korean artists are trying to say, we created it,
right. Which they're not.
which they're not, then
Yeah,
there's no point.
and they're into the whole original like dance aspect of rap that it's about dance and fun and music.
Man, yeah.
And they do it good.
Yeah, I mean,
There's a band
um,
called XG, X Gal X, or the XG. They're fucking amazing. They remind me of TLC.
Paris here, France, because believe it or not, the number 2 country for listening to hip hop outside of the States is
Mhm,
France.
mhm.
Okay, so you got hip hop from the French Caribbean, hip hop from Africa, you get hip hop homegrown, you
Yeah,
get United States hip hop, and it just sort of merges here. So
right,
a lot of the big breakdancing competitions happen here.
right.
Actually, I know one of the guys on Champs-Élysées who if he's been on thousands of these videos, a black French dude who does the breakdancing and stuff. And for me, in my age, I remember when it first broke, and I'm sure you same thing, where we had cardboard boxes that we would break up and we'd be out in the street, and that was how we spent our time. And you'd watch the videos, the Michael Jackson videos, everything, and you'd learn every freaking move.
Yeah, yeah.
And then,
Exactly.
but you thought, this shit's not gonna last.
Right. It was
And
just
here we are in our 50s,
right. And you're like,
and
wow.
now they got competitions for this shit.
Yeah. It was on the Olympics, even though they had the kangaroo girl.
Oh yeah, and there was a whole controversy about that. Did you know she actually her husband or somebody was connected to the judges in Australia
Yep, yeah.
that screwed over some actual decent talent from Australia.
Right.
Um,
So that she could highlight herself, which was fun.
highlight herself. But then, it's interesting because breakdancing then fused into like the hip hop house stuff.
Mhm.
And if you remember the movie House Party, which I love House Party,
Yeah, yeah.
still
Yeah.
crack up about the Eraserhead joke with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
cops.
Yeah.
Hey, Eraserhead, this
Yeah.
cracks me up.
I
But
remember
that's
House Party 3 in the theater.
right. But that's what you would do. You go and you dance and you do all the different routines and everything else. But I
Right.
don't see the young having that,
No.
but seeing these Korean things, it reminds me of my youth,
Yes, exactly.
you
Exactly.
know,
Yes.
that innocence,
The innocence
the innocence of it.
yeah, and they try to sell these record companies try to bring gangster rap over there, and they were like, "Does not compute." Like, no, this is not interesting. We like this other stuff.
Well, yeah,
They
yeah.
try to,
I can tell you one thing. I have a friend. I haven't talked to him in a long time. He's Japanese,
Mhm.
and he would tell me, yeah, when you're in Japan, you can always tell who the Yakuza is.
Like, this is-
There being a gangster is not necessarily seen as a good thing.
right? No, it's not.
Even even though they know they run a lot of the society, they're like,
They look down upon.
te you tend to avoid like Yakuza and stuff. You're like, yeah, no,
Yeah,
just
I have a funny story about Japan.
mhm.
I was staying at this pod hotel because I was like so fascinated by it. I was like, oh, they have those little things. I wanted to try it, so I went, and then the one that I went to was this really swanky one, really nice.
Mhm.
But because I was like so busy, like from the airport, I was just looking around the stores. I was like kind of like touring before I went to the hotel. They actually gave up my room to somebody else. I was like, what the fuck? They're like, no, we're all sold out. I was like, I got a reservation. This is the room. They're like, oh, they said you came in too late. I was like, I think it was like 2 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon or something. I was supposed to check in, I think at like 11 or whatever. No, you came late. We gave up your room. I'm like, geez. So then I had to go across the way to this other hotel, which was also a pod hotel, but was like an old looking one. Looked like you were crawling into a dryer, at a beat up like at a ghetto laundromat. It's like in the Bronx. It's like so you climb into this tube and there's like pornography is the first thing that pops up in this tube. You're like, and it's like itchy. And there's like all old dudes. But anyway, like the morning came and I went to go shower. And it was communal showers. It wasn't private like the other hotel across the street, which was the nice one that I reserved. And it was communal. So there's like a whole bunch of like maybe 30 dudes. Some of these guys were just living in there. They weren't even tourists. They were all Japanese.
Yeah.
Like these single old guys. Because, I don't know, the poverty level of Japan, the number one poverty level is the elderly, right? So these dudes are like living in these hotels and then they're like shower and then they smoke with their robe on, watching TV. They all watch TV and drink beer together. So I'm like with all these old heads. But I walk in there and you're like butt ass naked. Like they won't let you walk in with underwear or anything. So I was kind of like
Yeah,
little
different
shy.
culture.
Yeah, different culture. So I
Different
start
culture.
yes, I start showering and I don't know if you know, I have a back tattoo. So it's like
No, I don't.
yeah, I have a huge tattoo on my back. But these
Oh
dudes
shit. Yeah,
oh,
because tattoos are.
like it was like my whole back. Like they totally fucking looked at me because I was the only American in there. And I'm showering and my hair was longer, right? And I had a scruffier beard, like almost like the dude from the Big Lebowski.
Mhm.
So I'm walking in there like the Big Lebowski, like with my shorts and shit. And then they're like, oh, you got to take your clothes off. So I had to take everything naked and walk in there. All these dudes. And they just see my tattoo and I start showering. And then I turn around and they fucking cleared out, dude.
Well,
like
I don't know if you know this.
they were like gone. I had the whole thing to myself. Like
I don't know if you know this, but outside of Brazil, it actually goes both ways. So outside of Japan, the biggest population of Japanese is in Brazil.
Mhm.
Outside of Brazil, the biggest population of Brazilians is in Japan.
Right.
So it could have been very easy, given your features,
Right.
that they thought you were Brazilian who
Right.
was part of the Yakuza,
Right.
right? There was a movie, I can't remember what it was called. It was an awesome movie. Really weird as fuck.
Right.
Hilarious. I got to see it at the Toronto Film Festival. It was a Japanese film. And the director, I think he's the guy who did Blade of the Immortal that
Right.
came out recently, and I forget his name now. I'm sure a lot of if any of my film friends say this, they're like, "How could you?"
Right.
But it dealt with this. He was, I guess, about my complexion, my features,
Right.
and he was Brazilian, and he was part of the mob world in Japan.
Mm.
And there was this hilarious scene where they totally cook the Matrix.
Mm.
So they had these cockfights, right, where roosters fight, and so these roosters come out. They're kind of animated, and then it stops, and the one rooster does the Trinity Matrix thing, and
Right.
it even rotates. So at the end, because the director was there, people were asking, "Why'd you do that?" And he says, "Well, it was my way of sort of reminding, Westerners where you got the shit from." Right? But it was interesting because he really wanted to highlight the issues that Brazilian people have in Japan, because
Mm.
that's not really well known. So I'm
Right.
sure that they probably thought you were probably Brazilian,
Probably. Yeah. I
you
didn't
know?
know that. Yeah. That's
Because I
pretty-
mean, yeah, I mean, for them, your features would have been like, yeah, he might be Brazilian and Yakuza or something. I'm out.
yeah, they took off. They were like,
Yeah.
it's literally cleared. I was like shocked. I was like,
Yeah, tattoos are not considered a good thing. And actually, it's
oh.
funny because when I was younger, there's only two types of people that had tattoos.
Mhm.
Like when you're like 10, former military
Yeah.
or criminals.
Yeah. Or bikers, right? Yeah.
Yep, those are only two types of people.
Well,
Now every,
were illegal in New York until the 90s. So, like, so
you know,
they were outlawed, I think, in the 60s.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I could see them thinking you're Brazilian.
Yeah.
I think it was something. It wasn't Kingdom of Heaven. No, it wasn't. It was something Heaven. It was a pretty cool movie. Really weird as fuck though.
Right.
Uh, but yeah, yeah. No, just different cultures have different ways of approaching things. There's things that you wouldn't say or do
Right.
in
I mean,
different places.
this is talking about Image. This was like the Top Cow, which was Image, was like the Witchblade compendium, and you could just see, like we were talking about, like the. I mean, there's some story in here, but it's really like overall like, oh, this sexy chick is scantily dressed, you know.
I remember trying out for Top Cow.
Same here. They were not even interested in anything I did. They're like, no thanks.
Well, I remember when I went and I did the portfolio thing. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you know, this is kind of cool, but can you draw more like Michael Turner? But they actually said, we don't want anyone that draws like Michael Turner.
Right.
So it's just like you just don't want any people. Freaking
Well,
applying, just say it. We don't.
my old roommate that lived here, he ghosted for Michael Turner. So apparently, Michael Turner had a ghost artist who was my former roommate.
Hmm.
You know, it's like, and he was also a ghost artist for David Finch, and for Jim Lee as well. So it's
Yeah.
like I saw stuff in my studio in the Bronx and here, because he lived with me twice, that showed up in the comic books after, you know, like
Yeah.
Supergirl with a black outfit. The guy drew that in my studio, you know, and then they had Michael Turner had a cover with Supergirl in a black suit, and I was like, Mike, didn't you draw that? It's like,
Well, I know he had health problems, so
he did, yeah,
he had
yeah,
health
so,
problems.
yeah.
But in the end, I mean,
Yeah, they didn't like my style either.
well,
They were just like, that's not what we're looking for, you know. What's funny is like the stuff that I was criticized for the most is shit that you see on Amazon's The Boys now, you know, which is like, and I was just emulating comics from Britain at the time because I was a big,
yeah,
loved like Maxie Mortal and the Brat Pack and stuff. So that was, and then Robert Crumb. So that was the stuff that inspired me. And that's all The Boys is really, you know, it's like that genre of stuff.
yeah. I think there's some things. I haven't sat down and watched too much of The Boys, but
Yeah.
there's things that they still miss about American culture that they
Right.
really don't understand. I think it's really hard for people, and I would tell my my students, adult students that I teach English to,
Mhm.
it's if you really want to understand Americans, read Mark Twain.
Right.
Mark Twain would call us out on being bullshitters.
Right.
There is that violent side to us, like Homelander, yes.
Right.
But I think there's another side that many people around the world don't understand that Twain would have recognized in Trump very, very easily.
Very
He's full of
good.
shit.
There's so many movies like that. Like you had the Manchurian Candidate that had a Trump-like figure. There's so many
Face in the
movies that
Crowd.
Roberts, you know,
Have you ever seen A Face in the Crowd?
Face in the Crowd. Yeah, there's so many movies that bring up these McCarthy-like figures, you know, that
We're bullshitters.
and bullshitters. Yes.
We're bullshitters. Like, you know,
Uh,
even in a sense, one of the things I loved about Captain Kirk, but I found that it was the more positive side of bullshitting, American bullshit,
right.
is when he would bluff people.
Right.
You know, that's very much part of American culture. And I find that when Brits who aren't familiar with us, like really familiar with us,
Right.
they only view the violent side, which is true. It's there. We can be like Homelander.
Oh yeah.
But then there's the other side where it's like, if we know we're not going to win, we're going to bullshit you
Right.
into thinking I'm actually just as strong as Homelander.
And that's a good way to segue into this Lego video you mentioned earlier. It's
Okay.
like we got this. Let's see it pop up. Hold on a second. Remove. Put that in there. Let's see. Let me zoom in. Whoops. Let me zoom in for the.
But baby's pulling strings and your vote is getting cold. We're not just fighting for Iran. Hear this clear. Your people reached out to us. Yeah, we got the DMs here. If one nation's gonna stand against the Epstein regime's fear, it's us to the last breath. We've been doing it for years. We're standing here for everyone. Your system ever wrong, they've known all.
That's fucking George Floyd right there.
Well, did you know that Tehran, when George Floyd was killed, Tehran actually had a whole mural for him? They had
Really?
one for him in Palestine too.
Wow.
And Iran is the only country that actually issued a stamp dedicated to Malcolm X.
Wow.
So they know their shit.
Oh, yeah.
And during the Iran hostage crisis, the 29 people that were initially let free by the Iranians were all Black Americans.
Right.
They're literally like, we know you have nothing to do with this shit. You can go back home.
Right. Exactly.
So they're not stupid.
No, they're not. Well, I mean, most of the people that are in their office, which we'll talk about later, have PhDs.
Yes.
The enemy was always you. The real threat wore a suit and sung a patriotic song while selling their own citizens and calling it strong. Stealing from your own people, making them bleed, taking tax dollars just to fund your own greed. They waking up to the lies, the illusions of burst. You screamed America first, now you put losers first. Make Israel great again. Your government is run by pedophiles. They ordered you to die for Israel. They ordered you to die for Israel. They lied to you all. We saw everything. If the public ever saw the files, man, the planet would shake from the level of filth and the crimes in your wake. No wonder Jeff called you the worst, you degenerate snake. You claimed you never set foot. You went 40 plus times. You sick bastard, you cooked. We stepping up to the plate. Epstein regime gotta fall. You fake Christian elite sacrificing the ball. Wow. You talk real big for a man with tiny hands. Tiny hands, tiny things, tiny everything. We saw everything, and word got out. The smallness kinda expands. No wonder all those rage tweets, all those desperate rants. Overcompensating bully, always causing the scene. You said you love losers. Well, look at your team. Your government is run by. Your government is run by pedophiles. They ordered you to die for Israel. They ordered you to die for Israel. They lied to you all. But Bibi's pulling strings and you.
Well, I have to say one thing. There's that conservative comedian, I forget his name. He's got the sunglasses and wears the baseball cap and the hoodie.
Right.
He was saying, we're losing the actual war. How in the hell are we losing the trash talk war?
Right.
Because I mean, we're really good at that,
Right.
And I have an answer for him. We don't know shit about Iran. You can only trash talk someone that you know.
Right.
But apparently they know us better than we know them.
Right. Exactly.
And hats off to them, man. I mean,
Right.
I mean, how do you answer back to that? More
Right.
angry tweets, and this
Right.
thing that we're winning it. And here, I have a lot of frustrations right now with the European leadership because they're all like, oh, he's going to get out. We can't leave NATO.
Right.
If I was a European leader, this is what I would do. I'd pick up the phone and I'd say, if you're going to leave NATO, bye, see you. And if you think that I'm worried that you're not going to be there to defend me, your ass can't even defend yourself from Iran or their freaking little Lego videos. So have a good day.
Exactly. And I don't know if you saw this one. This is I don't know if I sent you this. This is the
I saw that one on your wall. Yeah, I saw it in passing. I meant to go back and give it a like, but it refreshed.
We all had one of these when we were kids. Our
Oh man,
that had one.
I think. No, they had reissued that one.
Right. I remember a wooden one in my kindergarten class.
Yeah, me too. I had one at home. I remember those. You go. Yeah, I mean, none of this needed to happen. But here's the problem: a lot of people are saying it's that Bibi convinced them,
Right.
or that he's got dementia, or in some cases it was Putin. I don't know why Putin would want one of his allies, basically in the situation they're in. That sounds crazy to me. But Trump, for 30 years, has been calling to attack Iran.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that Bibi and Trump was like hunger and famine meeting.
Right.
They were like, a pair made in hell.
Right.
Not that Bibi influenced them. It was like,
They're
no,
both
this is,
avoiding prison time. Isn't that something?
yeah, yeah. So I think it's giving an excuse to say that he's got dementia. Maybe he has some level of it, but
Yeah.
I think he's always just been like that. I think it's, I think if he, okay, I'll give you an example. If he was black or Latino, he would not have been given that excuse that he has dementia.
Right. Exactly.
Not even
You
close.
mentioned that. You remember Paul Mooney? Yeah. At after 9/11, he had a stand-up show, and he was saying, white people are so fascinated when they're killers, like like serial killers or something, and they're like, "White man, why did you kill your whole family?" He says, "I don't know. I had a alternate personality. I have 33 personalities." They're like, "Oh, very interesting. We're gonna have to study this." And then he's like, "Black man, why did you kill your whole family?" And he says, "Well, I don't know. I have 33 personalities." And then he says, "Well, N word." He says, he says, "You better figure out who you're gonna be, because one of those personalities are gonna go to jail and you die."
Exactly, exactly.
And that's the society we live in. It's just whenever a white person commits a crime, and I hope no one gets offended by this, but it's true. We have to study them. We have to like analyze them. Like Luigi, right? He inherited over $1 billion from his grandmother, and then his mother turns him in because he's the sole inheritor, and she basically says his eyebrows match this criminal so that he can lose his inheritance, and it goes to her. And nobody in the media is talking about that, but that's exactly
No.
what she called him out. And now we got to study him. Oh, he's a hero. He's standing up for the corrupt society. But the minute it's a Hispanic or black person, no, you're a monster. You're evil. He had a family. He had that. And the media did try to spin that angle on him because he's Italian, right? But it didn't fly. People were like, "Fuck you, no." He
No,
did,
I think he was too good looking of a guy.
Right, right. Yeah, and a lot of millennials, even some teachers that I knew were like found him hot, and they were like literally like, "What's going on?" It's like, but you
And
don't get that from people are conditioned and brainwashed towards white superiority in some fashion, where
Mhm.
it's white acceptance, right?
Oh,
Well, he has money,
absolutely.
like every drug dealer movie about a white person, he's a genius, he's smart, he's savvy, like Blow, right? But then every black guy is a Nino Brown, like he's
Yep.
a,
Yep.
he's a villain,
Or Latino is what's his name? Pablo Escobar,
like a
which by the
Pablo.
way the CIA funded.
Right, exactly. Yes,
It's
exactly.
like
Did I mention that? Yeah,
no.
yes.
And yeah, I started reading the book called The Devil's Chessboard. I'm about 8 pages in.
Hmm.
It's a massive thick book on the Dulles brothers.
Hmm.
A few pages in, I'm like, these guys are just fucking evil. Like,
Right. There's nothing good or nothing redeeming.
right? Yeah, I was just like, wow. Like, um, for example, you know that he was the CIA director under Kennedy, right?
Right.
But before that, when FDR passes the New Deal, he was working for a firm on Wall Street with his brother, and him and his brother got all these rich people together after the New Deal's passed, and he's literally says to them, they say to the rich, "Do not comply with this."
Right.
So like through and through, they're freaking evil as hell. But for whatever reason, both conservatives and liberals will never step into actually reading the history of the CIA.
Right.
Never. It's conspiracy talk. It's like, no, it's literally well documented.
It is. It's well documented. I mean,
Even with the comparisons of 1933
mhm,
Germany, which I hate,
right.
they'll never bring up Project Sunrise and Project Paperclip.
Right.
The whole we brought in these Nazis.
Right. Exactly.
So,
Blue Book and all that stuff with the aliens and so
oh yeah, the aliens. I love the alien stuff because it's more like the urban legends.
here's a story that I have never heard anyone bring up, but I read it in the FBI declassified files, and I actually wrote about it in World Without Superheroes #2. Marilyn Monroe, the day before she was killed, she was going to have a press conference exposing the morning of, where she was supposed to have a press conference exposing Kennedy, her relationship with him, as being not just a rumor, because he promised that she would be the first lady in his second term, that he was going to divorce Jackie Onassis. And she was going to expose the fact that they tried to kill Castro with a poison pen, right? Because her husband was Arthur Miller. Arthur Miller was friends with Castro, and probably inadvertently saved Castro's life because Kennedy was banging her and telling her state secrets and things that they were doing, bragging. But the biggest one was that, and this was revealed at a party because people at her party that were her friends were actually snitching on her to the government. They were FBI informants. That Kennedy told her that the Russians had an alien spaceship, and the reason why he wanted to make peace with them is so they could share the technology. And that was in her little red book that vanished. But this is on the FBI files, that this is what she told her friends, that she was going to have a press conference and confirm the existence of aliens.
Hey.
It's there in the FBI documents.
Well, I'm going to say something because I just thought I saw this tweet, and I didn't screen capture it because usually I screen capture stuff,
right?
Share it. This week, a little more intense for me. I've been finishing up a commission and doing other things.
Same, yeah.
And this tweet was awesome because apparently there's a senator or congressman or whoever he was saying, "Oh no, these aliens are real," and blah blah blah. And this guy retweets it, and he says, I'm going to paraphrase it because I'm going to butcher it, but I'll tell you. He says, "My brother in Christ, I don't give two flying fucks about aliens. We've got demonic, child raping cannibals running this planet."
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And like I said, a lot of people were comparing the Epstein files that's going to be like the Panama files that was just going to go up and go. And I'm like, I love urban legends. I love urban legends because even if they're not true, there's usually some little kernels. They're kind of interesting how they get out there. And it's interesting how they just stay forever. Like, for example, before the internet, everybody, and I've talked to people from different places, and I said, "Hey, do you remember when everyone said that Marilyn Manson had taken out his ribs?"
Right. That was
so he could give himself fellatio. Right. And like, yeah, we heard about that in Ireland. We heard about that in Australia. And it's really fascinating to me how these stories circulate around the world before pre-internet. So I'm always fascinated about that. So I'm always of the mindset that if something is so over the top, like the Epstein files, that's not going away because it's entered the realm of urban legend now. Yeah.
And then most people don't know that she had 2 obituaries because she was actually, the first one was suicide. Not suicide. The first one was murder because she died from an overdose in the ass. So she was injected in the anal cavity, the drugs, and she overdosed in the lower intestine. And then the Kennedy brother RFK is the one that had his men go in there and actually had them change it to suicide. So she had no drugs in her stomach or in her mouth.
So that means, because that gets quicker in your bloodstream.
Yeah, and she had basically bruises on her face and arms, and the last person to see her was RFK and his secret, his detail, his security detail.
Yeah, because I think he also was fooling around with her too.
Well, yeah, I think that was probably, that's what was well known, but I think that was probably just to discredit her because to delegitimize her affair that she was planning to expose with the brother.
Yeah. So
they just made her into a whore altogether.
Yeah, I think the Kennedy brothers get to, I mean, compared to the rest of our history.
Yeah.
I mean, you could see that they were kind of, we can't be doing too much of this crap. Right. I think they get too placed up on a pedestal too much.
Yeah, big time. They were scum. They were womanizers. Now, it's funny. I just checked AI, and AI confirms that, yes, that is the theory. Now, I read it off of an actual FBI document, But apparently there was something called the Marilyn Monroe UFO memo, right? And then in the 90s, pre-internet to the public, right? I mean, well, we say pre-internet, but I had internet in the 90s. It was dial-up, but
Well, I guess it would be
but
pre-common internet.
Right.
Everybody had it. You know what I mean. Like it wasn't. I mean, I had the internet in the 90s too, but
yeah,
it wasn't. I mean,
not the way it is today.
it's not the way that it is today.
No social media. Yeah, they had
you had actual message boards.
Message boards, yes. Kind of like Discord type of thing, I guess, would be the closest thing to describe it.
Yeah. I think we're going to have to go back to that because they're trying to drop a lot of this digital ID stuff.
Yeah, it's annoying. So apparently in the 90s, the CIA is the one that dropped the document called the Marilyn Monroe UFO memo, but I found it on the FBI.gov with the actual names.
They probably didn't digitize it because the AI needs to scrape information.
Right.
If it's not there for it to scrape, it doesn't really exist to it. Then it,
right.
or if there's
photocopies, yes,
it's a theory that it just scrapes that. That's why AI can't be trusted. It's a good, quick, little stepping stone. So you might go, oh, okay, now let's dig into it further and see if that's how much more is out there.
So it's like they're saying it's a conspiracy theory, but it's actually a federal document that was declassified, so it's not a conspiracy. Let's play this next. There's another Lego video I wanted to play.
Oh, Lego videos! I think they're going to string them all together and just have one movie, man.
Yeah, they should do like a theatrical release.
Theatrical release, and then make money while they're at it.
Now, some people are saying that these are propaganda videos. Yes, they are. But are this going to weaponize anybody, Lego? Come on, let's be for real.
No, we're just going to chuckle and go, that's true. It'll be like this.
No music to this one. And yeah, we know they cooperated. I wonder why they were talking. AI server. Look at the whole sky there, and then the little girl. Yo! Wow. Destroyed. I'm worried. They're gonna basically black out the whole world. I ran over.
You know, I mean,
I don't think anyone will be radicalized by this, but a lot of people are saying, "Oh, you could be radicalized by these videos. You shouldn't watch them. They're propaganda." I was like, "Yeah, they're propaganda, but they're intelligent." You know.
it's like, yeah, I'm not going over to hang out with Iran and do shit for them. It's
Right. No.
I sort of sit back and I think it's kind of amusing.
Right.
Sadly, they're trying to tell us what they're doing step by step.
Right.
That's all they're telling us.
They're
And
like,
at the end of the day, once it's all said and done, we'll be able to match up to see if any of it's true.
right.
And if it's true, then it's not necessarily propaganda, is it?
Right.
And I just think that there's a, and I mentioned this before last week, we have this tendency of not being able to entertain an idea, to understand it. We
Right.
sort of think, and I think this comes from that religious thing,
Yeah.
this idea like, oh, it will corrupt your soul.
Right. It's
As
this whole
opposed to-
controlling, gaslighting religious concept.
Yeah, we really approach things religiously as opposed to, well, what do they have to say about it? Well, no, I don't agree with any of it, but that's an interesting take,
Yeah.
you know. And we're not really good at that, and I think that shows in our political life too,
Yes.
where and I mean, there's no point in trying to see the other side of a racist.
Mm-hmm.
But other things like, you know, should we build a bridge? I don't know. Is it going to help? Is it going to do this? We don't have debates anymore. We have shouting matches
Yeah.
and excommunicate our family and friends and stuff. And so with this, I almost take it as one, they don't really think we're all that smart.
Right.
So they really think, okay, this is the level you're going to be able to understand what we have to tell you, which is a Lego video, which is very
Right.
condescending. But then again, is it condescending if most of the population wouldn't understand beyond that level?
Yeah.
So I think they sort of understand where we're coming at, and it's really sadly unfortunate, but there's a lot of truth in them doing the Lego videos like that. They're catchier.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
So,
And you notice with all the destruction in Israel, I mean, this all started with October 7th, and they talked about the 1200, and then we learned that, you know, because of the Samson option, they just said blow up everybody, and they basically had the military blow up the concert and kill everyone. And so that's why they didn't know that there was 200 Hamas members that were charred, you know, because they were like, oh, we didn't know that, you know, so out of that 1,200, 200 of them were Hamas and these other gangsters that we now learned that Benjamin Netanyahu was funding them and basically allowed them to break through. There's a lot of soldiers that were told to stand down, you know.
well, you know, they used the Hannibal Directive.
And the Hannibal Directive, yeah. And then, I think I said the wrong one, right? I said the Samson option. That's different. That's nuclear. But yes, so the Hannibal Directive, and a lot of soldiers, a lot of documentaries out there that you could find that talk about that. But now with all these attacks on Tel Aviv, they're not advertising that. Isn't that interesting that they're not talking about how many Israelis are being killed with all the bombings? It's like they don't want you to know now all of a sudden.
From the reports, yeah, you can go to jail if you show any videos from Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
If you're an Israeli and you photograph it, you can go to jail. 2, Cyprus and Greece is getting filled up with Israelis.
Yeah, there's a lot of
I think it's Uganda is also getting filled up with Israelis.
Philippines too. They were complaining about that. Yeah.
Argentina is getting filled up with Israelis.
Yeah.
So here's my thing: if this is a place that you consider to be,
Home.
people could take it whatever way they want to. If this is home,
Right.
you're going to fight for home.
Right.
You're going to fight to the point of death.
Right.
Now they're threatening to go to war with Turkey after Iran.
Mm-hmm.
And let me just say this. Turkey traditionally their governments tend to be two-faced.
Mm-hmm.
If you follow any news of Turkey, Erdogan says all sorts of stuff, and it's just like, I don't believe half the shit you do, because one moment you're here and next moment you're here. But
Right.
if war ever breaks up between Israel and Turkey, Turkey will maul the fucking living shit out of Israel.
Mhm.
And why? They have a 1 million man standing army. They have the biggest army on the planet.
Right.
And I don't think they will be as gentle as Iran. Because
Mm.
Iran, for whatever people want to say, there's a certain level of ethics that they go. The last Ayatollah didn't want a nuke.
Mhm.
He was like, no, it's unethical, all this stuff.
Right.
I don't see Turkey playing that way. There was a while back that Turkey threatened to storm the NATO base there that we have
Right.
and steal our nukes
Right.
because we have them housed there. So
Mm.
Israel's eyes are bigger than its stomach,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
It's something our mothers told us never to do, right? Don't eat with your eyes.
don't eat with your eyes. And I think if the current leadership of Israel, and that goes all the way down through the entire Knesset,
Yeah. Ben
if they
Gvir.
continue this path,
Yeah.
it's leading to a very tragic place for Israel.
Yeah.
I don't think they want that.
No, I don't think anyone wants that.
I don't think they want that because we clearly, as the United States, our munitions are fucking gone.
Yeah.
Then we're getting choked out by the Chinese with our rare earths.
Yeah.
So we're not being able to create munitions because those things, and they keep talking, oh, they secured these rare earths. Rare earths aren't rare. They're everywhere. One. Two, it's the refinement
Right.
of the rare earths that we also don't have a monopoly. Any of the equipment that we need to refine that we get from China.
Right. Exactly. And we're not treating them nice. They're like we're treating them like the ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
Terrible.
And just yesterday, Trump was talking shit about China. He was
Mhm.
saying if they provide weapons to Iran, they're going to have big trouble.
Yeah.
You go ahead and let's get in a war with our factory.
Right.
You
Doesn't make
know,
sense.
20 years ago, I remember reading about this. One of the things that, when you say, oh, we spend this much money on our military, most of it is graft,
Right. Of course.
right? But there was an article, I've had a hard time finding it again, in which they said that 90% of our military equipment is built from Chinese black market goods.
Mm.
And of course, it makes sense. What is our system? Capitalism. And some people can be like, oh, here comes this lefty talking about capitalism. Yes. I'll explain to you how it fucks us militarily. If you're a contractor and you want to get that contract, you have to bid low. If
Mhm.
you get the contract, you might be able to say, okay, it's going to be a little bit more expensive than what it is. But what then you're going to do is, I want to make a shitload of money from this contract from the government. I'm going to find the cheapest shit that I can find.
Mhm.
So that's going to lead you to where? Buying black market stuff.
Right. Exactly.
So, and this is the distinct difference between, I guess you could say, Rome. There's shit that Rome built that still functions, and it's 2,000 years later. Why? Because they built it to last. They
Right.
didn't build it to fall apart and then resell it again, to
Right.
rebuild it to keep making profit. You
Right.
can't have that and have a military state,
Right.
right? So we're kind of at that Soviet Union stage.
Mhm.
I know a lot of people not going to want to hear this, but we finally got our craze combination of Gorbachev and Yeltsin.
Mm.
So there's my 2 cents on that.
And then we know that we had these 300 people killed in 10 minutes in Iran, which is horrific.
Yeah.
That's the right on the ceasefire, right? They
Yeah.
called ceasefire and then they violated. Nobody is
Yeah.
going to trust the United States if they keep breaking ceasefires or even allowing Israel to break the ceasefires.
And there's a long history of this. I keep hearing people always saying, oh, like Putin, like Putin, like Putin.
Right. It's like he's doing exactly what they're claiming Putin was doing, right?
The guy said he loved Andrew Jackson.
Yeah.
Now let's look at Andrew Jackson.
Right.
Andrew Jackson, before he was president, had Native Americans help him conquer Florida
to China.
Right.
and basically fight the Seminole Indians.
You run to
Afterwards, he fucked over the Cherokees
Mm-hmm.
and kicking them out of their land.
Right.
So this is a very American thing. And
Absolutely.
unfortunately, and you can be pissed off at me, the country is run that way forever. White America has always done that. We've had 700 and some odd treaties with our indigenous people, and we've broken every single last one of them. Why
Absolutely.
are we surprised that Trump is somehow, oh, he's doing this? He
Right.
is not. He is exactly. It's to me more controversial, and everyone should have raised their eyebrows when he said he loved Andrew Jackson
Right. Exactly.
than
Exactly.
Putin. But
Right.
somehow it is easier for us as Americans to say it's a foreign entity that's
Right.
influencing us.
Right.
Even Bibi's American. He's from
Right.
friggin' what? Pennsylvania?
Yeah. Philadelphia. Yeah.
Philadelphia, right? So, uh, and it's easier to say it's a foreign thing
Right.
because many of us grew up during the Cold War. We're
Yeah.
being infiltrated.
Yeah.
No, motherfuckers, this is who we've been.
Right. We've been this way. This is the whole history. People don't want to look at themselves.
No.
That's why we say "Make America Great Again." It's like, when was that?
And you know what? In that regard,
Right.
he has gone back to the same principles. Not to
Right.
say that the other presidents didn't do it, they just pretended they weren't doing it.
Right. Of course. We know
Right?
Obama killed, this guy, freaking Muammar Gaddafi and stuff, and
Hmm.
same
But
thing.
now you see what's going on in Lebanon.
Yeah.
They're taking out whole apartment buildings.
Yeah. Just like Gaza, they're doing the same thing again.
And then they were turning around. Bibi was turning around going, the Iranians are attacking civilians. Like,
Bullshit.
dude, you're talking about, like, piss off.
Right. Exactly.
Piss off.
Right. But it's interesting how they don't want to give the death toll of the people in Tel Aviv. Must be pretty high. I'm sure it's more than October 7th.
The few pictures that have come out, it's starting to look like Gaza.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
starting to look like Gaza.
So what is the
And
objective to like an eye for an eye leaves everyone blind, right?
yeah, and
You know?
I hate the word superpower. I think empire is much better, but I think that we should start categorizing countries, kind of
Right.
like in boxing. You got the flyweight, you got welterweight, and then you got middleweight. Iran is a middleweight power, right? But
Right.
they're kicking the living shit out of us who are heavyweights. It would be like watching, I don't know, Bruce Lee beat the shit out of Mike Tyson.
Right.
You'd be
Exactly.
like, but that guy's like a little guy. How's he doing that?
Right.
And I think that Israel doesn't understand if we're gone because we can't handle this shit, they're screwed.
Well, it goes back to that whole thing. I think that's exactly the thing. I think that they do want the American government to go bankrupt. He has said it in past speeches. And then remember, we had 38 states, senators, and representatives that American people elected, going to Israel to have that panel led by Bibi Netanyahu called 50 States, One Israel. So it's almost like they want to liquidate the United States through a bankruptcy, just like a corporation. And then what's left over, Israel will take over.
Well,
If they lose that property in Israel, it'll be like America will be New Israel, right?
well, there's several problems with that. One, yes, their land in Israel, they're screwed if
Yeah.
we go. Two, they're flirting with, and I hate to say this, they're flirting with the Fourth Reich, the real deal,
Right.
because there is growing anti-Semitism. See, here's the problem. We're not a very nuanced people.
In the MAGA world, they're amping up,
Yeah, because there's always been a relationship in the West between Christians and Jews,
Mhm.
and that, okay, we might get along, and then suddenly something goes south, and instead of Christians going, yeah, I shouldn't have been doing that shit,
Right.
we turn around and blame Jewish people for it.
Right.
And it's very dangerous for people like Bibi Netanyahu to be saying that, because it isn't like it's just in the shadows and we don't know what's going on. If he was to do something like that,
Right.
it would create an issue for Jewish people. Like, you don't have an Israel to run to. Like, it's just stupid.
I don't think he cares. these are old boomers that just want their way. You know, they
Yeah.
don't see, they just see the end game of them getting what they want. They don't care about how many bodies they have to go through. And unfortunately, yeah, I mean, you're going to see a lot of anti-Semitism, and you're going to see a lot of and not just from Americans. You're seeing it already around the world, that how they don't want, countries are saying we don't want Israelis coming to visit our country. There is already happening, like in Japan.
But I would say that's not even like anti-Semitism per se, because
Well, they don't want any troubles with like because of
that
what comes with it. Might be like terrorism, or they don't want to
yeah.
be blamed they don't want to be blamed for their citizens attacking them. So if you look at it, on one hand, they're saying that's anti-Semitic by blocking like Vietnam or Japan, saying that they don't want Israel there. But in a sense, they're being preemptive and saying, hey, we don't want anything harmful to come to you, so we are not going to let you in the country, because they don't want them to be assaulted or attacked.
But they specifically targeting a country. So I know, for example, in Spain,
Mhm.
they're saying if you served in the Israeli military and you're part of this genocide, you can't come in.
Right.
It isn't then therefore equating Jewish people.
Right.
I think
No,
we also have to
IDF
sort of
specifically, yeah.
separate that. That's not anti-Semitic. That's just like, dude, you were part of an army. You
No,
were
I'm saying people view it as that. I've heard Jewish people here in the States saying, "Oh, they're anti-Semitic." It's like, no.
well, that's always the
Really, this is really about war. I mean, think about the same thing with Vietnam. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
there was a Jewish woman posting a video in Times Square in New York, and there were IDF soldiers just hanging out in Times Square as tourists, and she just started screaming and calling them baby killers. And I'm like, oh, this is literally Vietnam. What we're seeing.
Well,
It's like, you know,
the IDF bombed
Mhm.
a synagogue in Iran.
I know. Yeah.
So where do we stand with that?
Right.
You know, in my view, where do we stand with that if we therefore, oh, we can't? It is one of the oldest communities in West Asia,
Right.
older than the ones that came from Poland. I hate to say this,
Right.
and yet we're supposed to go look the other way on it. Like I had someone who was saying, well, you know, both sides should be doing this, that, and the other. Iran didn't start this shit.
Right. They didn't. They were attacked.
You know, a lot of times people come from middle class families. Being from the middle class is cute. It's nice. You know, I lived a middle class life for a little bit, but I also lived, you know, lower class for a while too,
Mhm.
when my parents divorced.
Mhm.
But one of the things you learn real fast, and I learned this from my brother because he was more of a bruiser when he was young. If you start something, be ready to take it in the face.
Oh yeah, for real.
But don't cry about it,
Right.
because nobody likes a whiner.
Right.
And you can't have fucking both ways. But a lot of middle class people will try to equate, and this is where it's very easy then to equate the aggressor with the person who's being aggressed,
Right.
you know, and all of a sudden it's, oh, well, you know, it's because they're being anti-Semitic or they're being anti-black. Well, dude, maybe you shouldn't have punched him in the face. Maybe he wouldn't have reacted.
Right.
He might not like you, but if you left him alone, you know, and I think that's one of the big problems. It's particularly, it's more of a sign of whiteness.
Yes.
And that's why I say, no
Yeah.
matter what, they're just Europeans with a different religion, but they're
Right.
Europeans. That's their perspective,
Right.
you know.
And the Iranian Jews don't identify with Israelis or the Israeli Zionist propaganda message, just like the Syrians don't. They're Syrians. Iranian Jews are Iranian. They don't see themselves as Israeli.
Mhm.
They don't have a problem. You don't hear anything in the news about Jews being attacked in Iran, or even right now with that stuff happening.
Yeah.
You don't see any anti-Semitism, because they know this is not about Judaism. This is about Zionism, and a lot of Americans can't get their heads wrapped around that, especially
Yeah.
the Christian Zionists, which we've talked about before.
Mhm.
You know, the Christian Zionists feel that they, again, it's the white lady and the white guy trying to explain away, like, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
This is a religious right. It's a holy war. Right? Everyone's saying it's a holy war. You know.
And they try to make it seem, well, if it's not a holy war, then they jump to it's biological.
Right. It's like, so you're
The
saying
only
it's a
people who
holy
saw
war,
Jews as
so-
biological
Right.
were Nazis.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
You know, they viewed, and it's funny because the Nazis did not adopt one drop rule because they took all their ideas from the Jim Crow, but they thought the one drop rule was too crazy.
Right.
And the reason being was they said, shit, like that might mean we might start killing each other off.
Right.
That's how pervasive it is.
Right.
It's a religion.
Right. It's a religion.
You know, it's a religion.
It's not
And,
a religion.
and in a way, then we also have to go to the other extreme where people want to.
Right.
We're one species.
Right.
This whole thing of races is fucking made up shit.
It's made up. It's basically that's why I say everyone's a racist if you believe in the system of people being different races, then you yourself as a participant in racism.
Yep.
But
That's
now-
why I reject the term biracial.
Yeah. Exactly.
I reject it with the
Everyone's
deepest of passion.
Right.
It's just a new term like mulatto. It's a 21st century version of mulatto.
Right. Basically, yeah.
You know, it's saying there's two races that I come from.
Right. There's no race.
No.
And we have nationalities, you know,
And cultures.
but not races. We don't describe birds and dogs as races. What race is this dog? What race is that? No. we say,
Actually,
what-
it's funny that you mentioned that because in French and in Spanish,
right.
because I have a dog, so whenever I walk my dog, that is actually a word they say. What race is this dog?
Oh, do they say that in Spanish?
Yeah, it's
Oh, 'cause we
Spanish,
say breed. We
French.
say what breed is it, right? Or like what? you know.
Right, breed. But in Spanish and French, you do say race.
Oh,
But
do you
race-
really?
Yeah, but race comes from the ancient Greek word, if I remember correctly, means root.
Root. Yeah.
Root of.
Right.
And it's very interesting too, because in Portuguese, I've heard my late father-in-law,
Uh-huh.
you speaking about another Portuguese person saying, "Oh, he comes from a good race," but it's not meant as a race of people, but a good root,
Right. A good source.
a good source.
Right. Right.
So there is, depending on the language that you use, but yeah, there are different races.
I don't know. Have you seen the Civil War movie that I told you about? The one that was A24 yet, where he says, "Well, they're like we're Americans." He says, "Well, what kind of American are you?"
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like-
No, I haven't watched that. I
Oh, dude.
I
You
get
need-
very upset about Civil War type stuff that we even play with that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's quite a few. There's another movie that just came out. It didn't do as well. It didn't get as much attention, but there was another Civil War American movie that just came out, and where white people are being expelled from the United States. I was like, what the fuck? But it didn't get any traction. I don't even remember the name of it, but it was on the theater for a while. But with that, let's watch another Lady Go video. The King of Cartoons.
The tunes.
There we go. And I just found another one after. I thought this was the latest one, but there's actually one after. So this is called Fake Peace.
You ran to China, you begged on your knees.
Please be my friend.
Please, China, please. You called Moscow, you cried on the phone. Please mediate for me. I'm all alone. But here's the news you don't wanna hear. The strait is moving.
Ships are here. China passes, Japan passes, India
Two,
fake peace.
fake peace. Not for you.
Fake peace, fake peace.
No release.
Open for the world, but for you.
No grease.
Iran said, everyone's welcome. Come trade, come through.
But you and Israel,
Sorry.
not for you.
Fake peace, fake peace. 10 days and gone. You cry to everyone from dusk to dawn.
The strait is open for the human race.
Fake peace.
Go cry in your place.
You stabbed them twice while they sat at the table. You talked about peace, but your aim was unstable. You sent the bums with your little friends' help. Now you want to pass. Go box somewhere else. The strait is open for China, for Japan, for France, for every ship that wants to dance. But when you come with your golden crown, fake peace.
Fake peace.
Sit down. Open for the world, open for trade, open for everyone. That's how it's played. China ships, Japan ships, India's fleet. The whole world moves. You taste defeat.
Fake peace, fake peace.
Hear that sound? That's your empire flushing down. You beg for mediation. You begged for a deal. But the strait says no. And that's real.
Fake peace, fake peace.
No release.
Open for the world, but for you.
No grease.
Iran said, everyone's welcome. Come trade, come through.
But you and Israel,
Sorry.
not for you.
Fake peace, fake peace.
10 days and gone. You cry to everyone from dusk to dawn. The strait is open for the human race. Fake peace. Go cry in your place. You went to She, you went to the Saud, you went to Turkey, you begged so hard. You went to Qatar, you went to Oman, everyone said sorry, done, not in the plan. I ran, didn't move, I ran, didn't blink, I ran, sat calm while you cried in the sink. Your 10-day peace died on day one. Fake peace. Fake peace. Now what have you done? Fake peace. The world is moving, Donald. China ships, Japan ships, India ships.
Yeah.
Everyone's passing through the strait. Everyone except you and your little friend. That's not fake, that's real. Fake peace. Fake release. Never.
Is it me or the laughter reminds me of the thriller laughter. It's
You mean Vincent Price?
Vincent Price.
A little bit.
Little
Vincent
bit.
had that cackle that was so great. But yeah, I mean,
Sorry, I just can't stop laughing from that shit.
I mean, what do we expect?
Right.
I mean, here's a country, and I know a lot of people because I've had some clashes, even with some family members. One particular family member here in France. They need democracy and all this shit. And it's like they had democracy back in 1953.
Yeah, and we took it away.
Yeah. If anything, the lesson here is stop fucking around messing with countries. Let them be.
Right.
Stop being control freaks and thinking that we're some sort of gods. We can create whatever we want. And that goes even for Bibi. Bibi,
Right.
sure, he funded Hamas, but he even admitted it turned out to be a Frankenstein.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So maybe the lesson here is
Right.
you're not God.
Right.
And for these religious people who are like, oh, the whole blow up with the Pope. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes, he threatened the Pope. Yes, and there was some stuff in France too that just happened, right? That some chaos with Trump in France. Just
Oh, well, he was saying some smack about Macron.
and the nations didn't know, like it was like 16 nations. Just the UN just basically said, "You're not using our airspace." That just happened,
Yeah, although that's kind of deceptive because people have been finding that U.S. airplanes have been still flying in their bases and stuff. Technically, though, like for France, love him or hate him, but Charles de Gaulle pulled out of NATO. France wasn't always part of NATO. So, you have Americans saying shit about, oh, watch us leave. What's going to happen? What? You're
Right.
not going to get your ass kicked by Iran?
Right, exactly.
Spain, they lied them into NATO. They didn't want NATO at all in the 80s. And they got squeezed in. So a lot of Spaniards are like, fucking go home. Bye. They'll let the door hit you with a good Lord split you.
Right.
Right.
And it's also hard to say like that they're an evil dictatorship. They're fucking releasing Lego videos. What the fuck?
Well, and here's the thing, like people have said,
Like,
yes, the regime is restrictive. It
Mhm.
does have its problems, but
yeah,
it's also been very exaggerated.
exaggerate. And also, they killed 40,000 people in one night. That's a lot of fucking people. What they did was arrest 800 people, and most of them ended up being Mossad agents.
I don't think people have ever gotten in a fist fight who believe that,
Yeah,
because the amount of energy that requires to just take one person down. Now you got guns, okay, you can probably get like 4 or 5 in the time it takes to get one instantly. But when you're talking 40,000 people, unless you're dropping a bomb,
right,
that's a lot in a night.
right, exactly.
If you told me 2,000, I'd be like, damn, I could buy that.
Right.
40,000 is like, what are you talking about?
Right, like that's like, and to clarify that, not only were they starting illegal militias, which Trump admitted to in the press the other day, that they were arming, but they were killing the protesters. They weren't fighting the police and the government.
And that's a bit of projection, isn't
They
it?
were killing the protesters. So you have this armed militia funded by the United States and Iran. I mean, sorry, and Israel, and they're in a demonstration. They orchestrate the demonstration, but then you start killing the demonstrators, not the authorities.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are very shocked by how captured Europe is. Like,
Mhm.
so for example, that thing that Trump said about I'm going to erase a culture. Some people were being legalistic. Well, he didn't say he was going to nuke them.
Right.
And it's like, how else are you going to erase a culture? Let's
Mhm.
be honest, our culture jokes about having the nuke and being able to wipe whoever we want off the planet. I mean, anyone who remembers the song from the 90s, Asshole by
Mhm.
Dennis Leary, I
Mhm.
mean, that whole part where he goes, and we've got the nuke, right?
Right.
So we've got this attitude. So all of the European leadership, with the exception of maybe Sanchez, which quite frankly, I'm surprised that the PSOE, which they're kind of center left,
Mhm.
is being so strong, and I'm glad that they are.
Right.
Um, but everyone else is like, no one else said anything. And
Right.
when they confronted Germany's Merz, he was like, oh, he was just being metaphorical and blah, blah, blah. And Germans were like saying, if I even said something like that, I could get a jail sentence
Absolutely.
in Germany. So the problem is that there's a long history of, it goes back with the CIA, because we don't like to talk about CIA history.
Right.
Um, for myself, I know that uh, our country supported the very people who had my grandfather under house arrest, which was Franco, the fascists.
Right.
So when
Exactly.
we cry, oh, fascism's coming to America, well, who the hell do you think we've been supporting for the past 80 years? The
Right.
fascists.
Exactly.
And all of these, and you can see it here. I mean, English is standard.
Mhm.
Kids, whether it's Spain, France, or whatever country, they all have to learn English from grade school,
Right.
right?
Right.
They get to learn another language and their primary language. And you can see how Americanized Europe is. So what you have is European leadership that's been Americanized.
Right.
So when they're surprised that our vassals
Mhm.
aren't independent,
Right.
what the hell did you think a vassal is?
Right.
Right? And I think we Americans sort of think, oh, they're our allies.
No.
No, they're not. They're
No.
like, and this is why Trump is reacting the way that he's reacting to them. It's like, well, you're supposed to be my vassals. You're supposed to listen to everything I do and say. You're supposed to come over and help me when I'm getting my ass kicked.
Right. And Israel, and we seem to be the vassal of Israel. Since 95% of our senators are APAC sponsored and funded, it's like,
Well, I think even Israel is a vassal to the idea of breaking up Eurasia.
but I would say that they were previously a vassal of the U.S., but now that Trump's in office, it's almost like they've flipped the script on him, where he's allowing them to call the shots. Versus, when they wanted Biden to attack, he was like, no.
Yeah, Blinken said it.
And then and then other presidents, said the same thing. Nope, Iran. I remember Obama talking extensively about
Even
Iran
Bush.
and Bush. They were like, nope, that's not gonna fucking happen. I mean, even in the book that we talked about 2 weeks ago, they were like, if we can't conquer Iran, we're going to make them an ally. It was right there in the grand chessboard, and that's what Obama did. The way we had something
Mhm.
that said, "Hey, we're going to work together. We're going to partner," because
Yeah.
we realized that this is not the country to fuck with. But you put this dimwit in there, you know,
Um,
and it's like,
Years ago, I remember I had a student. She was Russian living in Spain. She worked in finance, and I was teaching her English.
mm,
And I asked her once, because she had lived through the 90s in
yeah,
Russia when the whole thing collapsed, and she was telling me how it was crazy. Like, we owned our own home, but
right,
then all of a sudden, overnight, because we didn't have a deed for it,
right,
everything became capitalism. It wasn't like even a slight transition. It was like you go from state capitalism, the communism that they had, to capitalism, and it was the Wild West.
right,
So I said, what do you think led to the collapse of the Soviet Union? It's
right,
funny because she didn't say it was the economic system. She's a lady working in finance.
The United States, obviously.
She said it was very interesting, like internally. She said,
Right.
you had the generation that fought the war
Right.
in World War II, the Great Patriotic War.
Right.
And the state would pump out a lot of propaganda.
Right.
But because they had lived through the war, they just shrugged it off as like, yeah, whatever.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But the younger generation that they were raising were believing the propaganda.
Right.
So when they grew up and took charge of it, they had believed the propaganda version,
Right. Not the actual version.
not the actual version.
Very true. Yeah.
So now we look at the United States with
Mhm.
Hegseth and Trump and all these people,
Right.
and even the flock. They have believed our marketing.
Right.
They have no one there who's realpolitik. Yes, okay, this is the marketing we're putting out, but this is the
Right.
reality.
Right.
Right? This is how we're going to have to deal with this as
Right.
grown-ups. Yeah. So I think and it's sad and very tragic because it's going to hurt. It's hurting a lot of people,
It's hurting everybody.
Yeah.
The whole world is going to be Mad Max the way we're going now. This is not. It's not a healthy way to go. I don't
And-
think be flippant. I mean, I literally mean we're going to all be living in the Mad Max world if we don't get if people don't step in and do something about it.
Well, and this is what the Peter Thiels and the Carps want.
Yeah.
Except I don't think they understand that they don't want this because they think that they can ride the wave of chaos.
Well, they think that Jesus is going to come back, and
Peter
what are you
Thiel
going to do when that doesn't happen? And
Peter Thiel doesn't believe that Jesus is going to come back. He doesn't believe shit. He's a nihilist, and so is
Right.
Carp, and so is Altman and Musk.
heard the word nihilist, I start thinking, where's the money, Lebowski?
We are the nihilists. Yeah, no, but they're nihilists. They don't believe any of that shit. They
No.
just throw it to the dopes. But there's an email between Epstein and Peter Thiel.
Right.
And in it, he says, we need to get people back to tribalism.
Right.
In other words, he's openly saying he wants chaos.
Yes.
And I find too many conservatives, and it falls more on the conservative side, because the liberal side wants to read the Epstein files to go, see, you're terrible.
Right.
But the conservatives refuse to read it. I've had conservatives say to me, well, you shouldn't believe everything that you read.
Right.
It's like, dude, they were writing emails to each other.
Right. Come on.
No one writes an email bullshitting saying we're going to hunt down black people just for shits and giggles.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Very true. I got another video here.
All right, hit me.
Let's see this. Let's see this one. This one's crazy. This one's on Instagram. I gotta put the volume up. Oops. Instagram's a little weird. Oh, here we go. The volume's right there. There we go.
The reason is trash, protecting the files while he's burning the cash. Facts. The jungle's dead. Blood on the floor. The jungle's dead. Why are we going to war? The jungle's dead. Secrets in the file. The jungle's dead. Killing with a smile. The jungle's dead. The jungle's dead. The jungle's dead. The jungle's dead. 100 strikes, 10 minutes, it's insane. 50 buildings down, washing blood in the rain. They call it strategy, I call it a joke. 100 families vanishing in smoke. You call it the law, no, it's jungle survival. Killing the innocent for a political rival. Sky News is laughing, your own people hate you. And even the news starts to underestimate you. Killer. The straight is a chokehold, the valves are closed. The weakness of Washington is finally exposed. $98 and the price keeps on creeping, while the mothers of the drafted are bitterly weeping. You're thirsty for helium, you're thirsty for gas, but you're stuck in a war that is kicking your ass. It's the law of the jungle where the strong eat the small, but even the giant is bound to fall. Crash! Crash. Yes, I'ma warn you, the exit is gone. You're trapped in the darkness before the dawn. 1 to 7, your own party is turning, while the bridges to Tehran are steadily burning. You're buying that ice to cool down shame, but the Epstein files have your middle name. Automatic enrollment, automatic grave. Is this the freedom?
that you promised the brave.
Fuck a shouting, get the weed from the Zion, but you're tied to the beast and you're feeding the lion. 50 towers, 100 explosions, building an empire on bloody erosions. You're the king of the jungle, but the trees are all bare. There's no loyalty left, and there's no one to care. The jungle's debt is a heavy amount, and the blood of the children is the only count.
The jungle's dead, blood on the floor. The jungle's dead.
Why are we going to war?
The jungle's dead.
Secrets in the file.
The jungle's dead.
Killing with a smile.
The jungle's dead. Blood on the floor. The jungle's dead.
Why are we going to war?
The jungle's dead.
Secrets in the file.
The jungle's dead.
Killing with a smile.
$98.
That's just
The level of trolling, man.
dude, man.
Yeah, I mean, even the draft.
You have to admire their sense of humor. You know, it's like there's tragedy, and yet they find a way to send something to, you know, they're trying to speak to the American people is what they're trying to do. You know, and saying,
They're a
look,
5,000-year-old culture.
exactly.
And I can't say that we're a culture, but we're 250 years old. Now,
Yeah.
here's something that I've been thinking about lately a lot, and I actually posted a little bit about it.
Right.
This idea that we can have techno-feudalism,
Right.
and I think it's impossible, because to have technology, you need to have a certain class that's educated to upkeep it and keep creating new technology.
Exactly.
And I mean, it worked fine to have feudalism if your labor is just people who are just slaving away.
Yes.
To fuse the two is contradictory. You cannot run that. So
Right.
these idiots like Peter Thiel, and I call him an idiot because he's a philosophy mayor, and a law graduate,
Right.
and so is Carp. So these guys are not computer guys. They
No.
project that they're computer guys or not, but they're not really thinking through that you need to upkeep all this shit. Like the planes and stuff isn't
Right.
the same like in Rome, where you could probably have a few hundred blacksmiths to fix armor and all this sort of shit. And armor is probably easier than
Right.
fixing airplanes,
Right.
right? And we have this idea where we can just dilute everything into really rich and really poor and have an empire based on. No, if anything, technology requires a certain level of equality. And when they create this extreme rich and poor, the technology is going to snap. And
Right.
because a lot of our technology isn't even run on AI, it's run on old programs from the 50s and 60s. And
Right.
the kids aren't being taught those programs, at least a portion of them, to upkeep the infrastructure.
Right.
And it really worries me because they're trying to build new computer shit on top of old shit that we have no clue what that shit is.
The shit on top of shit.
Yeah, and it's like, it's worrisome, and that we put so much faith in these idiots, and that includes Bill Gates too.
Absolutely.
You know, Bill Gates was coming out saying just recently, "Oh, we need to have all your data in a digital ID
Right.
for your health and everything else." This is a man, and I don't know if these women that he was with, they were women or girls.
Right.
So I'll just leave it that they were women. I'll be kind enough in that way for
Yeah.
this instance, because I don't have enough knowledge on that.
Right.
He got an STD. He's a billionaire.
Right. He can
He
get
couldn't
the best
even wrap up his
care
own
of-
thing. And he's talking to us about our health.
Right.
And
Exactly.
not enough of us are breaking past that thing where it's kind of like
Right.
we look at the rich as being so smart. They're not.
Right.
So here we are. To wrap back around, we're stupid all around. We're
Yes.
only 250 years versus a 5,000-year-old civilization.
Right.
And they're smart enough to go, okay, we'll try to talk to them in this way. This is what they understand.
Right.
So anyway, that's my rant.
No, I think that it's important to say that we had some comments. I was trying to see if I could put them
Oh,
here.
comments? Okay.
Yeah, Mateo Lopez, what's up, cuz, and hello, Miguel.
Yo, what's up?
What's up? And then we had Tom Siaka. He said we didn't learn anything from Vietnam. Usually, I don't understand. Usually, the comments come up here, and then we should see them. But for some reason, they're not coming up today. So
On the we didn't learn anything from Vietnam. I think something we have to understand when it comes to learning about history, we do. We just learn the wrong lessons. We're like, maybe we should have been stronger, harder, faster, better, as opposed to let's not do that shit. There's many things you can learn from something. Sometimes they're just bad lessons. We take the wrong conclusions from the actual events, from the actual history.
And talking about that, we have this guy, this video clip I sent you earlier. In 2004, there was a lecture from Sheikh Imran Nazir Hussain, who is a Trinidadian and Tobagan author and philosopher who specializes in Islamic theology, world politics, economics, and modern socioeconomic political issues. It's a real short clip. I want to play that. Let's see what he has to say. Since you just mentioned that, let's cue that up.
And I'm saying to you, if you look at the world of money, you would see the writing is on the wall. The Bretton Woods Accord is collapsing. It has already collapsed. And a new international monetary system is around the corner, in which the US dollar will disappear. And when the US dollar crashes, the American economy will crash with it. I want to suggest to you that the September 11 attack on America bears an uncanny similarity to the terrorist attack of the summer of 1914. And that the events which are now unfolding in the world, the attack on Afghanistan, the attack on Iraq, the new American imperium that is taking over the world, are all meant to serve one mission: to pave the way for the state of Israel to wage a big war. And as a consequence of that big war that Israel is going to wage, the territory of the state of Israel is going to dramatically expand to encompass the biblical frontiers of Israel, of the Holy Land. Bible says, from the river of Egypt to the river Euphrates. That's not true. The Holy Land does not exist from the river of Egypt to the river Euphrates. That is false. But it's there in the Bible. They put it in. And so Israel has to wage a big war which will dramatically expand the territory of the state so that Israel will control the Suez Canal. And Israel will control the oil of the Gulf tomorrow. And there will be a concomitant attack on the US dollar. And the US dollar collapses. And when it collapses, it will bring down the whole world of paper money with it. When Israel wages that big war, I expect that Israel will unleash weapons of warfare we've never seen before. And at the end of it, Israel will take over from the United States as the new ruling state in the world. But Israel cannot wage that war while still there are any significant obstacles in the way. And now put on your thinking caps. Which is the most significant obstacle which still stands in the way of Israel waging a big war? And it is Pakistan's nuclear weapons capacity. And coupled with that is Iran's missile capacity. And so all the hullabaloo we're going through now, all the maneuverings on the chessboard of the world, when Israel wages that big war and replaces the United States as the ruling state in the world, the first ruling state was Britain. The second ruling state was the United States. The third and the last would be this imposter, the state of Israel. I am suggesting to you that Dajjal, or the Antichrist, would now have completed stage 2 a day which is like a month, and will be commencing stage 3, a day which is like a week, meaning a much shorter period of time. It is at this time that terrorism reaches its climax. They have declared that they're going to continue killing all those who dare to lift their hands against the state of Israel. This is the biggest terrorist of all in the world. But CNN will never tell you that. And I'm saying to you,
Okay.
if you
That's 2004. You know, it's like
Well, I mean,
we're
I mean,
seeing a lot of that unfold. You know,
a lot, but a lot of it's coached in its own form of dispensationalism, the 3 kingdoms, 4 kingdoms. That's like fucking old stuff that goes back to the English Civil Wars and
we have
some.
Netanyahu talking and Ben
But
Gurion saying the same thing.
here's the thing: those weapons that's supposed to help them, they haven't been using them.
Yeah.
They've been getting their asses kicked.
Well,
Like they're getting
the killer
they
option.
get their asses kicked so bad
Mhm.
because in that equation,
Mhm.
yes, we do know about Netanyahu and everything else.
And nukes.
But
yeah.
I think everybody's been surprised that
Right.
Iran for 40 years has been doing its homework.
Yeah.
It's been out doing its skipping. It's been doing its, daily 2-3 miles and everything else. So
Right.
there's always the room for the unexpected. The problem with religion, it's always coaxed with certainty
Absolutely.
that this is the way it's going to be.
Right.
Nothing is like that. That's why all these prophecies never fully come out that way. Now, in terms of what he was talking about, the dollar, it has to be explained that it's the petrodollar.
Yeah.
The petrodollar, which was pegged to petrol back in the 70s, because Charles de Gaulle had called our bluff with Vietnam and said, "Yeah, I think you guys are just wasting money. I want my gold back."
Right. Exactly.
And that broke the gold standard. Now, what Iran is doing by breaking, and it's breaking the U.S. dollar, is by making it where you have to pay for passage through in yuan, in the Chinese currency.
Yeah, and they're exactly. So they're
And
accepting other currencies.
let's face it, even if Israel took over whatever territory,
Mhm.
it's still not going to be China. It's still
No.
not going to be Russia. So it won't be this great power equal to the United States. But
What he's trying to say is that he's going to take over the United States.
take over the United States.
No.
But what sort of a United States is he going to take over? You're
What
going to take over a United States that has no factories,
Yeah.
has no know-how because it's gutted its public system. This goes for what I was saying. You need a certain middle class to be able to do this because they gutted their middle class. Take over United States that its national grid, its electric grid, which is like in 5 pieces, is 80 years old. It's falling apart.
Mhm.
So he's taking over. It's like how Jesus said, "You can't put new wine into an old wineskin." He's actually created this fiction of like, and this is part of the problem sometimes with the Abrahamic religions. The idea of dynamic change isn't there. It's like, this is America. It always stays the same, constant. And we in the West get in trouble with this all the time.
Mhm.
Gradualism. It's always going to be gradual. It's sort of gradually. It doesn't work that way. Things can hit exponential points and decay things. So he takes over a dilapidated body. Then what? I mean, you have a country that's divided, angry at itself. He's not taking over a strong country with a strong military. He's destroying the military. You'd want to take over something that was strong. That is the problem
Right.
for taking over the United States after it's crashed. And to rebuild it is going to take 20, 30 years. In the meantime, your competitors have gone past you.
Yeah.
And again, it comes back to dynamic thinking. I think the problem with religious thinking, the habit of it's a constant.
Right.
No, it's not. The sea isn't always constant. The
Right.
sea can be violent, very aggressive, and then very calm, and then in between. And
Right.
that's my issue with the Abrahamic religions, that there's this constant.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist.
Right.
And he is mostly right. So I'm not going to say that he's totally wrong, but I think that And he was right to believe that Bibi, because he said that. But Bibi's also wrong too in thinking that.
Yeah.
What are you taking over? And Bibi's at the end of his life.
Right.
He has fewer years on this planet than he has anything else. His foot is in a grave, whether it's Iran or is just this. I mean, he just had cancer,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, Trump too is sick. You see, he gets discoloration. I mean, when you
Yeah.
see how they're basically making a major shift to controlling the newspapers and
Mhm.
media platforms, where TikTok was, basically co-opted and purchased. So, I mean, these are the things that we have to look forward
Well,
to.
here in France, they're trying to pass a law. Right now, there are people protesting.
And
It was yesterday or today, protesting against this law that if you say free Palestine, you could
right,
spend years in jail.
right,
But here's the problem. If they did it in secret, and this is the thing that even bothers me with Teal, and this bothers me from my evil side, because I
yeah,
don't deny that I have an evil side. And I have the side where if it was me playing the chess game, but I
mhm,
kind of look at my evil side and say, you're wasting your time. But if I let my evil side run, it'd be
right,
like, I wouldn't want anybody to know who I am.
right,
I wouldn't want them to know that these little, if anything, by putting yourself up right front and center,
yeah,
it draws attention that you don't want.
right,
So by passing these laws openly like this
mm-hmm.
is going to breed the anger and the storm that later on they'll be like, I wonder why it failed.
In some way, I would say that he does want that. He does want that. I think he does want to breed the anger and all that, and because it will legitimize, just like he was saying, "Hey, fund Hamas. Everyone should fund Hamas. We'll have Gaza back. We'll take over the strip faster
Yeah.
if everyone funds them." I mean, that's a maniacal thought pattern when you're saying, "Hey, let's help them bomb us so that we can legitimize our takeover." And that's the twisted thoughts that this man has in his
But
head.
here's where he, in my view, where he's not thinking through his evil completely.
Mhm,
When I start seeing American soldiers saying, I'm not dying for Israel,
mhm,
I start to get worried. Like one of the things that worried me with the Iraq war, where I thought this, I remember telling friends of mine, this could lead to a civil war in the United States. Why
mhm,
is that? My
mhm,
assessment was Spain got involved in trying to colonize Morocco before the Spanish Civil War. That gave birth to, well, not birth, but it shaped Franco. And I mean, he did try it once. He got kicked out, got exiled, came back. And my worry would be, what if some of these guys who are beneath the level of colonel might actually start plotting against me? And if
mhm.
you lose the US military, a portion of it, which rebels, because this is where real civil wars happen, you're fucked. If you know about, I don't know if you know about Portugal and how, and it's probably it's the most peaceful revolution that ever happened.
Mhm.
It's called the Carnation Revolution.
No.
And I know this person because, Susie being Portuguese, her father left and came here to France because he didn't want to serve in Angola. So he managed to get his paperwork and get out. It's like, why am I going to fight other poor people?
Right.
And it was a plot put together by Portuguese soldiers in Angola who were sick and tired of fighting in Angola and killing people there.
Mhm.
And the plot played out over in Portugal. And that's what toppled the Portuguese dictatorship. So Bibi lives in a world, as many academics do, that has no friction. I do this, this is going to happen. But it isn't I do this, and this could happen, and holy shit, I'm fucked. No, it's like they're playing chess with no one. And that's part of the problem in many ways. And that's dangerous for all of us because it has unintended repercussions. And
Yeah.
I say that for our Jewish community in particular. They're living in a country that can't distinguish between Judaism and Zionism. It's very dangerous for them. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, the evangelicals will walk away scot-free.
Right. Exactly.
So,
Yeah, they're
yeah, I
gonna
don't
be
think,
holding the bag.
yeah, they're left holding the bag. And that's been historically has happened over and over and over again.
Mhm.
And I think it does a disservice when we say anti-Semitism. Here's what I see online. This is where it's really dangerous. Something Israel does, people complain about it. Then you see, and you know there are accounts that are neo-Nazis.
Yes.
They'll go in and say, therefore, it's Jewish people.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, a lot of people
Guys
who are
like Nick.
well-meaning will feed into the neo-Nazis as
Mhm.
opposed to saying, piss off. It's about Zionism in Israel. Has nothing to do with Jewish people.
No, yeah, exactly.
You know, so
Yeah, we're just talking about the government, not the people. You know,
yeah.
this is just like the United States government doesn't necessarily reflect everyone's views in America.
No.
We're actually against what they're doing, but you know, and I'm sure there was an open letter from Iran that the leader wrote to the American people, explaining what death to America was. You know, and that it deals with the government, not the people, and they understand. So, if I can find it, you know. And did you hear about this?
Oh no, I didn't hear about it.
So
This almost-
before the peace, this was on April 2nd, was it? Yeah, when he basically wrote a letter to the people, America, to let them know, like, hey, this is not about you. We know that this is about your government. This is about, you know,
Mhm.
a lot of news outlets didn't cover it. A lot of internet people did. I think NPR might have mentioned, you know, so I mean, he said, looks like I don't think they have the whole thing here. I'm trying to see if they have the whole thing here, but let's see. This is an article here. But it was really actually touching. It's like, this is what a fucking leader should sound like. Instead, we got dump truck over here, you know.
Most people might not know this, but Iran is a country very well known for its poetry.
Mm-hmm.
So poetry is very much part of Iran.
Yeah.
So when they speak, you know, they
Yeah.
they come from a very poetic way.
Yeah. Let me see if this is Iranian President Mossad had penned an open letter to the American public in which he appealed. This is from Time Magazine, which he appealed to them look beyond what he characterized as the machinery of misinformation amid the U.S.-Israeli war with his country. He said, portraying Iran as a threat is neither consistent with historical reality nor with present-day observable facts, he wrote, such as a perception is a product of political and economic whims of the powerful, the need to manufacture an enemy in order to justify pressure, maintain military dominance, sustain the arms industry, and control strategic markets. In such an environment, if the threat does not exist, it is invented. Then they continue. So this guy wrote the article, this article basically broke it up. I don't know. Then he continues. Despite its historical and geographic advantages, at various times, Iran has never in its modern history chosen a path of aggression, expansion, colonialism, or domination. Even after enduring occupation, invasion, and sustained pressure from global powers, and despite possessing military superiority over many of its neighbors, Iran has never initiated a war, yet it has resolutely and bravely repelled those who have attacked it.
Yeah.
Naturally, no country confronted with such conditions would forego strengthening its defensive capabilities. What Iran has done and continue to do is measure response grounded in legitimate self-defense and by no means an initiation of war or aggression. Right? And then he says, is America first truly among the priorities of the U.S. government today? I invite you to look beyond the machinery of misinformation, an integral part of this aggression, and instead speak with those who have visited Iran, observed the many accomplished Iranian immigrants educated in Iran who now teach and conduct research at the world's most prestigious universities or contribute to the most advanced technology firms in the West. Do these realities align with the distortions you're being told about Iran and its people? Which is true. I mean, we destroyed, Israel and America destroyed um, 30 universities and hospitals and research and a cancer research center.
Yep.
It's like we're trying to destroy their ingenuity, their competition. You know, they're murdering their doctors, right?
Yep.
He says Israel and the Trump administration have offered shifting and at times contradictory explanations of what they launched the war on Iran in the weeks since it began. But Trump and administration officials have previously denied that the U.S. was pushed into a war by Israel, and both the U.S. and Israel have claimed that the strikes were defensive or preemptive, though neither has shared any evidence that Iran was preparing to attack them.
Yeah.
Days after the initial strike, if Israeli leadership pulled the U.S. into the conflict, Trump stated that he decided to attack because he believed that Iran would otherwise do so first. Based on the way the negotiation was going, I think that they were going to attack first, and I didn't want that to happen. So if anything, I might have forced Israel's hand, but Israel was ready and we were ready, Trump said on March 3rd. That's from the article. So Times didn't post the whole letter. They kind of chopped it up into an article, and I'll share that here.
They
I'll actually post that on Facebook. And
isn't it any different than a cop?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I arrested you. Why? Because I could.
Right, because you were black and you fit the description.
Yeah, exactly. This is again goes back to that American, even European culture. You know, like I found it really disgusting that he quite literally said he was going to erase a culture, and not a peep from Europe, with maybe the exception of Spain. You know, and Spain better not fuck that up, because I'm actually kind of a little proud. I'm actually proud of Spain for being the outlier and just saying fuck you.
Yes,
you know, but,
this is the. Oh, I just removed it. Whoops! At the stage, this is the. There we go. That's the letter. Whoop! What am I doing? I'm like, it's here. No, it's not. It's not there. It's here. There we go. So that's where I was reading the article from, and from Times Magazine. So people will be like, "Oh, it's propaganda. It's Iranian. It's Time Magazine." You know, I don't think Time Magazine's trying to push up the Iranians in any way, but people recognize a bully, and Trump's a bully. You know, it's like same thing with Melania and this whole speech about, you know, like not ever being known to Epstein and all this other nonsense. It's like,
but note her words. She said, "I have never been friends with them. It was all them. It was a casual relationship."
right.
And I'm like, but there's a relationship.
Right. Exactly.
You know, casual or not, I mean, there's a relationship.
And there's a guy who created this server. I love fucking people who just like do this shit on their own. All right, it's search to Epstein files because the government is so
Gmail.
So you have Gmail, but this is another one. This is called EpsteinExposed.com. And you can actually, Melania Trump, he created a database where you can look it up, and she comes up all 131. All right.
Well, that's not too bad.
131 times in the Epstein files. She's in different.
He shows up 1 million.
You know, it's like, look at this.
Yeah.
You know, you can click on the email, you can read the email. So this is a little bit more user friendly than the government site. So, but there it is. If you want to check on what Melania said and read her emails with the Epstein government, all right? It's like, and I don't believe that thing that Trump didn't know and all this. Is like, give me a break. This is all rehearsal. He didn't know. He's a fucking president of the United States. He's not gonna. No one's gonna tell him, "Hey, your wife's about to do a thing," and what's he doing? Is he looking on the golf course?
You know, I swear that guy.
Kind of drama break.
That guy doesn't have too much time for this world.
Yeah, man. I mean, we got 30 episodes in, and we've had like from Gaza to Epstein to fucking Iran, Syria. All this stuff is happening. 30 weeks. It's like, and it just every week that goes by, it just gets progressively worse.
Yeah, and it will. It's going to get a lot worse.
You know, but I mean, I don't know. We've been on for what, 2 hours? Oh, we're on for 3 hours. We're 6 minutes shy of 3 hours, man. Any
Yeah.
closing remarks? Anything you want to promote or anything like that?
Nah, just you can see my stuff at 7robots.com.
Yeah, yeah. And I got this book out, which I did, I think, a year ago. I never really promoted it that much, so I'm going to promote it today. This is a comic book that I did called Clayton and LES Land, which is based on the real life Clayton Patterson. This is a fantasy world. It's kind of like a dream world of little Clayton. So it's kind of like Alice in Wonderland meets the Wizard of Oz, I guess, and in New York City. So he has all these tattoo designs. His tattoos come to life, and it's basically about the real Clayton Patterson's dreams and his childhood. But then, and the original book was there's an excerpt from the Clayton book, which was about his actual life and time in New York City. That was
Nice.
by William Verlage. So you have this was kind of like a preview book that we did for a gallery exhibit, but and everything didn't come on time. And then this is his late wife, who just passed away a few months ago. So this book is actually it's actually retailing. There's no price on it, but it's actually people have paid about $60 a copy. It's extremely limited. I'm not going to say how much I sell it for, but it's not $60. It's like
Cool.
So I mean, yeah, I think there's a lot going on. We only covered a handful of videos this time.
Yeah, I didn't even give you. I didn't even have videos this week.
I think I sent you like 20 videos this week, but there's just so much to get through. It's just like,
Yeah.
let me needle it down to the more bare essentials. And of course, I wanted to talk about Hulk because all this talk about nuclear war, and if you guys like the Hulk, you might like the transgendered demon spirit woman that's inside the infernal Hulk. It's like, go figure. Which they don't even show her at all. You don't see her figure. They must have
applied
before that. And then you got the classic Hulks, the essentials, which I recommend because it's more about the nuclear age and science rather than Monster Island ripoff of Godzilla, King Kong, right? So it's like, and Bernie Wrightson. It's kind of like an homage to Bernie Wrightson, which is nice, but there is nothing saying like in memory to Bernie Wrightson. I feel like I'm reading like a Lovecraft thing,
Well, probably Marvel didn't allow it.
Yeah,
even if they could.
They should have called it the demonic Hulk because that's what he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be being possessed by demons. It's like
cool.
But only DC has balls enough to say something like that. You don't see anything. DC is like has like the demon as a hero, right? It's like the demon Eretican or.
Yeah, I mean, if you're into magic, DC was your thing. If you're into science, Marvel was your thing.
Yeah,
Marvel's just not really good at the magic thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's an entertaining book. It's fun, but it's just I don't know what this character looks like. This person looks like that's inside his body. So it's kind of like a little bit of a letdown. Like, I want to know what she looks like. Who is this character? I never heard of this character before. But maybe you have to read the previous Incredible Hulks to find out who she was or what have you. But I don't know.
I one of the things I hated about the 90s was the crazy crossovers. I think that ruined comics too.
Yeah, too many crossovers. Yeah.
And
the increase of price, the crossovers were always extra.
And then you never really got the full story, so you're like,
yeah. And if you're in the middle of a story, it all of a sudden interrupted the story that you were reading for several issues, and you're like, when are they going to go back to this story that I was reading? So yeah, there's that.
I know a lot of people who stopped collecting comics because of that.
Yeah, because crossovers and summer events and all that stuff. Yeah,
It got expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive. Yeah, you can't enjoy your books without crossing over. And the same thing with the movies. A lot of the movies started crossing over, and people have checked out.
Yep.
Like, oh, is it the same fucking story? We're still in the multiverse. Christ, it's 10 years.
One thing I did appreciate about the Spider-Man Homecoming, I'm glad that they didn't retell the story of Ben getting killed,
Right.
because that was getting old.
Yeah. It's kind of like Batman watching his parents get killed again. Yeah, very true.
There's tons of other stories to do with Spider-Man. They're not much better, but they're pretty good. I'm still waiting to see Molten Man. I'm waiting
Yeah.
to see.
Well, they
The
did the
teaser.
short version of on the one that was in Europe where it was just an illusion, right? It's like,
Right, yeah, where he met with Gwen Stacy,
yeah,
her clone.
yeah,
The one story that I liked, that it was like a one-off,
right.
and Steve Ditko, was the Tinkerer.
Ah,
It's the
yeah,
guy that owned the shop, and he was an alien.
right.
And he goes in. I think that would have been totally cool. I think that was pre-Skrulls.
Yes. And,
So
and the thing is, let me see. Well, we got some. What we have 11 comments. Let's see.
Do something about it.
Oh, I see Tom actually. Hold on.
Peter
Let me,
Thiel's and the carbs.
I think that was pre-Skrulls.
So I don't know why our comments aren't coming up, but apparently Tom has been saying a lot of stuff. Hold on a second. Let me just turn the volume off. Tom actually. Hold on.
Okay, I thought that was an echo for a second.
No, it is. It's my phone, but it's a.
I'm like, wait a second.
Thomas says it's supposed to pop up here. It's not popping up. Thomas says, very true, Ray. Trump is bluffing. Iran now. Iran is kicking our ass with the videos. Luigi will open up a pizza chain. We have web TV, good music. Remember the Ottoman Empire.
Oh, now it pops up.
Right? Are you
Yeah,
seeing
I
that?
think it pops up now.
Oh, yeah. Let's see that. Let's go to show. Oh, there goes your cousin. Oh, that's the YouTube comment show. That's your cousin, right?
My nephew?
Yeah, you know, he says, let's see what he says. So these are Facebook. Usually it's supposed to be both. Feel like, what he said? Feels like IDW had some good, why is it disappearing?
IDW had some good crossovers in recent years.
In recent years,
Yeah.
as Ghostbusters, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, especially Batman, TMT. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
They lost a lot of the licensing too.
they did, yeah. Especially because 20th Century, now Marvel owns it, so they lost Predator and Alien, which is their big sellers too.
I think they lost Transformers too.
Yeah, Transformers. Yeah, because IDW has that now, and then the ROM is now IDW as well.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they've been having a little complications. I mean, those kind of crossovers is okay. It's just like these freaking long sagas that you're like, shit. You know, somebody was telling me about 10 years ago that they wrapped up the storyline for Days of Future Past.
Right.
And I was like, that shit started in the 80s.
Yes, exactly. Well, now they just brought back your nephew just said the big new one is Marvel, DC, Superman, Spider-Man dropping. Yep, I actually read it. I thought about talking about it, but I was not impressed.
They did that back in the 70s, though.
They did. They're basically redoing a lot of the stuff. You know,
Wow.
the art's very good in the book. I think a lot of people will like that. People will buy it again. People will buy it for the art because it's a Marvel type thing. But the first story was good. Second story was lame. Like Tom King has no business writing comics. Go back to writing novels. He's just a terrible writer. I don't understand why people keep hiring this guy. And he's supposed to be doing like the next. I think he wrote that Supergirl movie, so we all know where that's going. He's just a shit writer. I don't understand why people like this guy's writing. He's not
writing novels, and I think that people have to understand the different forms of writing. Script writing relies heavily on dialogue. Novels, people can write entire novels and imply dialogue. And you'll never, like dialogue writing is a skill on its own. And writing novels is entirely different.
I'm not saying he's not a bad writer. He knows how to write clearly, but he doesn't write comic books well, in my opinion.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's script writing.
Yes, I think you clarified it. Yeah,
script writing is different from novels.
Yeah, my I collected Batman since 1988 religiously. When I was a little kid in middle school, I had Batman comics, but as a collector, I remember it was like 387, which was a Scarecrow issue of Alan Davis.
Hmm.
I was collecting solid, uninterrupted. I might have stopped maybe during the No Man's Land because that was so fucking long that I had to stop after a point and then jump back on. But literally, I was a solid Batman writer from 1989 all the way through the pandemic into 2022.
Wow.
But Tom King just ruined it for me. I was just literally just buying the books because I'm a collector. But every time I read it, I was like, this isn't good. Like, and all the different writers I've tolerated, all I'm not saying they're all good, but he was the worst.
Yeah.
You know, he's a good writer, but he's not a good comic book writer. And he wrote Batman like shit. It was nothing good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
writing scripts and writing, whether it's movies or comics,
Yeah.
very different from writing novels.
Yeah. And they prop this guy up like he's the best thing since sliced bread. And
Of
he's
course, and of course they're going to do that. I mean,
yeah, he's just not good. It's just I just can't stand him.
you know,
Like he made me quit my freaking that's like a long time from 1988 all the way to freaking 2022. You
I think I
know,
collected all the Batmans from 87 to about 92.
mhm.
And the two comics that the three comics I religiously
Mhm.
used to collect was Spider-Man, big Spider-Man fan,
Mhm.
Batman, and X-Men. Those
Yeah.
are my
Yeah. Yeah, X-Men I read all the way in the 90s and then went from the 80s into the 90s and then
X-Men I collected and Spider-Man religiously into closer to the 2000s.
yeah.
That's how
Spider-Man
religious I
off
was.
on depending who was writing it, I was constantly jumping off and on.
Yeah.
But
Like I and some of the art I liked. I liked Chris Bacalo.
oh yeah, he's
He's
great.
beautiful,
I loved his death, you know, when he did death.
beautiful art.
Yeah.
I think he was very underrated compared to some of the other artists.
Oh yeah.
I like Joe Mad, but when you look at the sources he took,
Yeah.
it's like, dude, how are you getting away with lifting like shit from manga like that?
Yeah, big time.
You know,
Big time. Marvel was doing that for a long time. They got sued by Gainax, I believe. They gave them a cease and desist because they straight up took a Unit 2 from Evangelion and put it as a villain in a comic book. I'm like, what the fuck is this? That's just like they just
you
made
know,
it human size. That was a difference.
you know what's funny? Had the Japanese done that to an American character,
Oh yeah.
what would we say? Oh, they're playing Temu, whatever character it is, Temu Wolverine, and we would be making all these Asian jokes and stuff. But
Yeah.
when we do it, it's okay.
Right. It's okay.
And it's just like, no, man. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Masamune Shirow. Huge
Right.
fan. Love Ghost in the Shell. Love all of his work. I have all of his Entron Depot books, at least the ones from the 90s. And one of the things I loved about Masamune Shirow, because he's kind of like the more recent version of Jack Kirby for Japan,
Right.
is the way that he would tell you how he would come up with these different machines.
Mm-hmm.
And I took it as, oh, I should learn from him that approach, not copy him,
Right.
right? So
Right.
I always thought that was wild, but
Yeah, I find it funny because I mean I remember the late Dan Acrosis who wrote on he did the title for the book. He did hand drew the Trumpland title and then I put it into Illustrator and finessed it. He did all the copyhead and the lettering for Viz Comics translation.
mm,
Did Dark Horse, Archie Comics, DC
I
Marvel. He did
remember Viz.
logos and stuff. Was that?
I remember Viz.
Yeah, Viz, right? So, and he said when he was doing Pokemon, when Pokemon just dropped, that Archie approached him and said, "Hey, we want you to steal Pokemon for us, and we want to publish it." And he says, "I can't do that. I have a contract with Viz." And they were like, "Well, we'll give you some money. We'll come up with the. We want to publish it as Archie, but we're not going to put it under Archie because they didn't want to get sued. They wanted him to basically set up a shell company, steal Pokemon, and just since he's already translating it, and basically start republishing the Pokemon that was coming out through Viz. And he was like, "No, I'm not doing that." But they kept pressuring him, and he just kept saying, "No, I'm not doing that." It's like, why would he ruin that relationship with the Japanese? It doesn't make sense, you know. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
was
sweet
the
business.
before he passed. Yeah, that's the business, right? People just
Well, it's like Rob Liefeld. He got in trouble, from what I remember correctly. I could be wrong. Somebody might tell me different. But he was taking money from Image,
mm,
and he was dumping the money into Maximum Press.
yeah, I see that. Yeah.
And he got himself in trouble for doing that.
Right.
He was belligerent, from my understanding. Like, why can't I do that? That's the money you're giving me for Image.
Right.
Well,
But basically he's creating a competitor.
yeah. I
Yeah.
really wasn't getting, I mean, Rob's,
Diamond did that too. They made these stores in a shopping mall and they were basically selling the stuff they distribute. I'm like, no, you're competing with your buyers. You can't do that. That's a monopoly. You can't do that. So
completely unethical.
right, exactly. So it's kind of weird. But we're over the 3-hour mark. We're 3 hours and 10 minutes. First we were
All
under.
right. Yeah, I gotta
Yeah.
head out.
Start by
But
Sunday.
was there any other comments left, or
Let me see. Your cousin waved.
nephew? My nephew.
Nephew, sorry. he looks young, like it's like but he looks close to our age. It's like my
Yeah,
brother.
he is, because my late brother was 10 years older than me.
And then we
Yeah,
have
he's a little young.
yeah. Hey,
And
I have cousins. Like my grandfather, who I never met, had 2 wives, so we have cousins. Most of my cousins were older than me, but we have my age from his second marriage.
yeah.
And he was never divorced because he was Catholic. So we had 11 comments. My age from his second. Most of them were from Tom.
Yeah.
And he was never divorced. Whoop, there we go. But nothing since.
No one upset.
No.
No.
Israel attacks Turkey and they go to war with NATO. They bomb the Christian areas of Beirut. That's true. Remember the Ottoman Empire? Yeah, I think I read that. Yeah. So yes, those are a lot of. Thank you, Tom, for those comments.
Yep.
So I got some work to do for tomorrow.
Okay. Well,
I gotta finish this commission that I'm working on for the Hackers Awards. There's this poster. But all right, man. At 30 episodes.
30 episodes. Wow.
This is funny because I did other shows before years ago, like 2010, right? 2008, 2010. I don't think I got anywhere near this. And then during the lockdown, I did quite a few episodes, but nowhere near 30. So.
Well, I think it helps that both of us are kind of more or less on the same wavelength.
Yes.
So, and we're not just talking about comics too. So
yeah, because what's funny is like every podcast, when comic book podcasts came out, were really just talking about movies and like almost like, and I was like, I don't want to be Sickle and Ebert. I hated those guys.
Yeah. No, you gotta vary it up.
Matter, we're just trying to get
Gotta vary it up.
We gotta vary it up. We gotta put on our big boy pants and talk politics, all right? So
the way I see it's like this. You might not care about politics, but politics will eventually intrude and care about you.
That's correct. Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah. It's like I used to tell my students in the prison. You make bad decisions, and if you don't start making right ones, you're already here, and the state's making the decisions for you. So you have to start making good decisions.
Yep.
Or else we'll just keep you behind bars. It's simple.
That's not good.
It's not good. But it's about taking your own power and charting your own course. It's super important.
And also,
Yeah.
if enough of us are awake, we can all push back more.
Yes.
The one thing And one thing that everyone that might feel sort of overwhelmed with the situation and almost feeling like it's hopeless, keep this in mind. The people in charge wouldn't be spending so much money and time in curbing algorithms and banning people and buying media if they didn't worry that the mass of us don't like what they're doing.
Right,
The
exactly.
fact that they're doing that is the very fact that they actually realize how much power we have collectively.
Yes.
It scares the shit out of them.
Oh yeah, they're terrified.
But at
They
the same time, they'll
they
make it seem like we're insignificant. But don't buy into that. You know, that's what I would say. Oh, I think you're gone. All right. Think we'll call it a day. Bye, everyone. Okay. Bye, everyone. Enjoy next episode. I got to go. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. I don't know if Ray will be back, but I got to go. Take care and keep your powder dry.
guys are still here? What's going on? The show's over. It's ended. It was 3 hours and 25 minutes. Go home. Thanks for tuning in. We had some technical difficulties. But now go home. The day's over. Enjoy your Sunday.